We are now live, and to be live. I'm a little bit under the weather today, but we're just gonna power through this here. Hope everybody can hear this okay. I got the chat on, just drinking some tea here, getting ready to start. So I'm gonna wait maybe another minute or so to give people a chance to come on in here and check this out live. Excuse me. Looks like the stream, everything is ready to go. Wish I could say I was looking forward to watching this, but I guess we'll have no choice. So, all right. Now I'm going to adjust my screen here, and we'll see how it goes. Just bear with me here while I just adjust this screen, take a look, make sure everything is working okay. Looks all right. Oh man, I'm so sick today, but this is important, so I've got to do it. I'm just trying to adjust, trying to get the best view I can here. Maybe even too little too much headroom. It's good that I can see all that, so that's good. It does look like. There we go. Let's adjust that a little bit. Much better. Okay, I'm gonna turn this volume up. We got a little background noise, but we're gonna just power through it. We're gonna work through this. So let's go ahead. Maybe I'll wait a few seconds just so we can see. Okay. Sorry about the background noise there. Just gonna go ahead. Okay. Looks like we're all good. If there is anybody who is in the chat right now or who can let me know that they can hear me okay, I'd really appreciate that. Just so we can make sure you can hear me. Now you won't be able to see the video, and I probably won't be able to hear it that well. The point of this for me was just to, to give you my uh, full view on this directly while watching this so that we can see. That. Sorry, guys, 1 second here. Try. Okay. Apologize for the background noise there. There's not much I can do about that. So hopefully it won't be too distracting. I'm just gonna let a few people know who are asking if I'm still going live. A few minutes late here. Just starting now. So I will give it a few more minutes. Oh, I don't like that. That was doing that there. I really want it to just stay. Okay. Awesome. How's my audio? Is my audio okay? Should I kind of speak up or go a little more into the microphone? Just like I said, I'm just sitting here drinking tea. Okay. rough day. I think a lot of people have gotten sick too, so I'm not the only one. But we will just try to power through this. And I'm going to go ahead and start this right about now. Let's see what this Gray State movie is all about. And I'll keep going back and forth, kind of checking the comments. Alright, so I'm starting it in 3, 2, 1, now.
Shitty pen. Shitty pen. We hate you. Mike's meeting 2. The outline. Projecting power, confidence. Talk fast, easy, and project. Why do you think I'm here? Why do you think I'm here? I want a career. I want a career, and I want some coin, and I want to find the people who can make that happen. I'm here because I like you. Okay. Guys, this is my project. Every little part of this project is me. I write, storyboard, cast. I edited, composed, I did the musical score. If it's Gray State, it's mine. Yes. And suddenly, Gray State is a household name. Gray State is already a household name. Every time I poke this dragon, they all fire awake saying things like, "You guys are the best, keep it up, in the name of liberty." And blah, 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 blah. People love this movie. The things that we could do with this. Okay, there's your break. Shift to sincere. So you're saying 30 million. Honestly, I think we can do better. I think. Because that implies, I've got my own ideas. I think. So can we do better? No, don't say that. Don't put it in the negative, can we? We can. We can do better. I'm here because I like you. But I want our film to be made right. Pen is broken. There we go.
This is the Netflix version, by the way. So I wonder if there's a different version. I heard there's a different version online out there. Let's see. Alright. We're ready.
Thank you for coming out. Because as you know, this is an independent project. We have a quadcopter drone. We're going to be doing aerials. We're going to have you guys busting up these houses, sicking attack dogs on children. It's going to get
Not sure
nasty.
if it's a hit piece.
And
good question.
Thank you guys for being a part of it. I hope you have the presence of mind to remain professional and not take it too far.
It's on Netflix.
I don't know what too far really
it's on
is.
Watch 32.
So just impress me, make it real. You're here for a reason, right? You're part of the Gray State team? Yep. Show it. Big family. Show it to me. Big family. Anything else? I think we're covered. Squad leader, I want to hear you yelling to your guys. Take full command. If they're doing something wrong, get them in play. That's your target house. High value individual there, very dangerous. He's armed. Get there. Get your squad up there. Oh, get there. So David had saying all the time, he screamed, "Get there, get there." And David only showed you one time how to do something, and he hated it if you had to go back and ask questions about it. Action! Hit it! Go, 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 go! Okay, cut!
43.
Oh, 43.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm losing my voice, so I'll make this quick. Right now, we're getting to the fun stuff. This is the actual Gray State, so you guys have seen the trailer, obviously. This is just a quick jump into the future. Can you do a loop of the house? Okay, I'm watching. You're right here, I'm watching.
Even in the midst of it, David always took time to acknowledge his daughter.
You're a goofball.
It's interesting being here on this set because this set here, where we're shooting this interview, is where we did a lot of the shooting for Gray State. Action.
If you are receiving this message, then you've been recruited. Welcome to the fight, Patriot.
Okay, a little bit less on the happy.
Less, okay.
What is Gray State?
Sorry, my cat wants in. I'll let my cat in.
Gray State is less a movie than it is a warning. We do not live in a dictatorship, but we do live in a police state. What we're going to see is the unveiling of this Gray State foisted upon America. The thing that you have to begin to understand about conspiracy theory is that
It's a hit
at some
piece,
point,
okay.
it's no longer theory. You talk about peak oil, you talk about FEMA camps, you talk about global warming, you talk about the UN, you talk about the NWO. They're prepping for megadeth. Once the red carpet gets rolled out for this New World Order program, everything is free game. The bastard of it all is that you've heard of everything. Americans believe that they can't do anything. And day by day, they're becoming correct.
Little ninja
It's a game of
action.
numbers, and we're losing.
I want to salute everybody that came out
Brings
and
back
aggressed.
memories.
Real elite, the robber barons that taken over our society.
Oh, there's Alex
These are
Jones.
cowardly scum. All right, get down there, folks. Lights down there. Get
He's
them.
not talking about David Crowley.
Table.
Turn this down a little bit.
Can we lock in a time with you tomorrow for?
I'll be out here like 9 in the morning. But what are you guys doing with Ted?
You know that dystopian movie you're always talking about on air? We're the only ones doing it. So it's what happens if these guys win. And it's the dystopian near future reality.
They don't win, buddy.
Oh, that's what's called Gray State.
Yeah.
David didn't want to be leader for anything. He didn't want the glamour, the glory, the millions of dollars. You know, he saw a vision, he wanted to make it work, and he wanted to get it out.
The Gray State movie, go to graystatemovie.com. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. The word is getting out and the word is coming.
David Crowley was a voice.
Okay, let's see. 10 minutes in, and looks like I lost the stream. I'll let the stream go till we can get back. I don't know if anybody can see the stream. Please let me know, or else I will just hold off until we get it back. If we get it back, who knows? You can see it? Okay. It's weird on my screen because I have it on. I'm monitoring it to see what it looks like, and on mine it's spinning and spinning. So if you can see it, I guess that's a good thing. Not sure why I can't, but it's very interesting. Okay. Sorry, I have a little minor delay there. But, okay, as long as everybody else can see it, I guess it was just my computer. So if that happens, I'm just going to go ahead and just stop it for a second, just to make sure that this is coming through, which is not really helping me. My cat's not helping either. She's very feisty. She wants to play. Alright, sorry about that. Back to the movie. We're at the 8-minute mark or so. Alright, let's keep rolling.
For a movement that believed
Jason
that a
Allen.
government
There's Jason
shutdown
Allen.
was imminent. That
This is my first time watching
oligarchy
it. Yes.
and these corporate powers, the corporatocracy, could overtake our civilization, our society, and in turn our citizens.
My
and
cat's first
take
time,
away all of our civil liberties and human rights.
Jason Allen is one of the last people to talk to David, I think, or email, or David emailed him.
that's the gray state.
Very late December,
Genius.
one of the last days before he died.
He was a genius. I had never met anybody so analytical, so
Joseph Satan,
decisive,
not sure who that is.
and so strategic.
Thanks for coming. It's important to note that without the volunteer participation of people like you to give the project scale, all the best
Mockumentary.
ideas
I
and
heard that.
loftiest ambitions would never be realized.
Called, or
This is not just a
Sloppymentary.
movie.
Same.
Today we're
I
all
like
part of something
Mockumentary.
much bigger.
But
So a lot of people, when they look at David, they could think, why does he make everything so difficult, so challenging, and so tough? And probably the easiest answer is because he was a perfectionist.
What the fuck is this wall, and how does it work?
So, the wall is just a writing tool. The wall is something that every writer probably does. I don't know how extensive they get. Maybe they're better at synthesizing story than I am. So, I mean, if you want to look at it physically, you have the story here, beginning to end, also up, or top to bottom.
this is the wall that makes him crazy.
In the story, you'll find out that it works on several levels. There's mythological storytelling, so it's the hero's journey as described by Joseph Campbell.
Well, this whole thing has sort of taken on a mind of its own. We're still pretty new to this whole gig.
Yeah, sorry,
But,
just a gal.
you know,
I
it is
can't show
developing. This
the
project has
video.
developed
I'm sorry about
momentum
that.
that I can't even describe. It has run away from us.
Action!
Copyright stuff.
Okay, so head in your crotch. Bloody head in your crotch.
Sorry if that wasn't
Hi, Chris
clear.
Peck. Nice to meet you, Slate.
Oh, Chris Peck, the guy who was in Dan Hannon's house.
I think what made David a
Yeah,
good
go on
leader
Netflix
was
if you
probably
want to
what
see
he
it.
picked
I'm
up,
just. This might be very boring for you guys.
experience of the Army.
I'm just watching it first time myself. That's all.
He would lead his crew like we were going into war, and you know we might not come out alive. Who else could walk up to a group of 20 people and say, "Hey, you want to be actors in this scene?" People with no experience at all. David would make them into actors.
You're going to be leaning forward more. Shoot this arm back.
That's why I'm watching it on Netflix too, by the way.
Cool. Here we go, here we go.
If you guys want to be in the scene, Chief Weinzel told me that I can do whatever I want with you guys as long as you're cool with it.
Buffalo, Minnesota
So if you want to
police.
jump out and join the squads and make a show of it, I'm cool with that if you will. I want to get away with as much as I can. So if I can have a snarling dog attack a family safely, I'm going to do that. And you
Snarling dog
guys
attacked
have
the
to tell me
family.
no.
Interesting.
David very much had a vision when it came to making Gray State. He knew how to be a businessman. He knew how to get people together. They were not filmmakers.
All right, cut.
David gets up to Kelly, I can't, you might die. Like, we
Script
talked about this
conference
stuff.
2020.
Which is good, because I think it's like repeating the conversation that went on.
What's Kelly's motivation to get into it now? Because she knows that Josh kept her off the radar, right?
David and Kamel were always one unit.
There will be a discussion
They were-
after.
They
Yeah.
were incredible. I mean, they were a relationship you wish for.
And a bear in there, a bear figurine. Sure, figurines.
They always had their own interesting way to express how much they loved each other.
Yeah, that's better.
I was
You're
just.
fidgeting over there.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just laughing. I'm glad this isn't being narrated because, like, Daniel feels a lump in his pocket from the expo. Can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm glad no one's narrating.
I'm at the 12-minute mark.
Hold on, let me touch my
Expo.
mom.
Okay, I guess that's a good place. Come on, kitty. What do you look? You want in? You want out? We're trying to do a broadcast here. Oh, that cat. Okay, so I just paused it there for a second. We are now, right at the 12-minute mark. So if you want to come back after the discussion, that's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start it right here. Sorry about the noise in the background, everybody. I really apologize for that. Some construction work going on. That's life, right? Just roll with it. All right, here we go. Let's keep rolling here. Dan Crowley Sr. is on the screen right now. I hear it feels like a hit piece. A lot of people said that so far. Apple Valley, Minnesota, present day.
Well, you can't help but think about it every time you drive past it, or
Oh, it sounds like Judy
just coming
Prochnow.
out in the backyard and looking over. And the people I have talked to, we would all just be happy if someone came and tore it down and
Yeah,
built something new.
I'm with her on that.
We had my sister-in-law living with us for the month of December.
Hey, Judy.
And we took her home in the first part of January. And as we were driving to the airport that morning, I looked at the steps, and I noticed there were still Christmas gifts out there.
Watch how they
And
do
we
the
had
close-up
assumed that they went to
shot of your on your glass for Chardonnay. Interesting. Okay, I'll
Well, I
watch
went
for
over
that.
to pick up the presents, and then I heard the dog bark. And I hadn't heard
Here's
the
my
dog bark for a
close-up
long
on my
time.
shot of
So I thought, well, they
Jetem.
must be home. And since I was in the front, I went to ring the doorbell. Well, then the dog came and jumped up by the front window and was barking, and I thought, well, they're not home. I haven't seen the dog or heard the dog before. Maybe there might be something wrong. And that's when I stepped off the stoop and went over to the window and I looked inside. I saw one body that was probably, maybe about 6 to 8 feet away from the window.
Look like a
And
mannequin?
I noticed that there was another body, maybe 6 to 7 feet away from the first one. And I noticed that there was a little body that looked like it was almost in the second body's arms.
1055 Ramsdale Drive. Cop reporting suspicious behavior next door. Went over to the home to the right of the RP, sees dead bodies inside the house, dog inside, sees a gun in the house on the floor.
Rear slider slightly ajar.
To look at the three of them through the Instagram filter of life, it's hard to imagine how it all went so wrong.
Uh-oh, there's lighting.
David Crowley, a talented, promising young filmmaker, his smart and beautiful wife, Kamal, a dietitian, and their adorable 5-year-old daughter,
Sorry, I
Rania.
shouldn't-
The reality is, the truth of what happened to David Crowley and his family is stranger and sadder than anyone imagined.
The truth,
So
huh?
this is
Okay.
the home in Apple Valley.
The truth. Yeah, the truth.
I mean, this is a total middle-class neighborhood.
Lighting's gonna show us the
And
truth,
this
guys.
was
Oh,
mid-January.
there's the rear slider lock. Closed. Not
you
open.
discover you can still see the
Interesting.
Christmas presents on the front porch.
I was looking for that. Looking for that rear slider to be closed.
But what a horrific crime to walk into and try to piece together.
And so
Physical
quickly.
evidence scattered all over by the dog.
Yeah,
I mean,
so quickly
horrific.
they came to the conclusion.
Investigators found about 22 terabytes of information, all strung together on hard drives, kind of daisy-chained all together. And you had to think that when they're
Yeah,
looking at
why
all this,
close?
they're like, okay,
Show it open.
maybe the answer
Maybe
is
they
in
do.
one of these hard drives. We find the why.
How about you find the if before you look for the why, buddy? How about that?
So I took the case file. It was about 1,500 pages.
Wow.
And I went through it, and all of a sudden I came through a picture that they did not have in the crime scene photos that they provided.
Dun dun dun.
And I said, oh my God, what is this?
And there on the wall, above the bodies, scrawled in blood, the words, Allah Akbar.
And this is,
God is the greatest.
and that was painted over white when most of the
Between their
people saw it,
bodies, a
hidden from
Quran
the family.
with pages torn out.
Many pages were
Open
torn
to
out
a
of that
traditional
Quran.
forgiveness prayer.
It's not the only thing it was open to.
In the home office on a notepad, submit
Open the
to
rise.
Allah now.
Most recent version, submit to Allah now. Not signed by David.
Do you try to explain 3 deaths, husband and wife and their little
You
girl?
gather the facts. That's how you explain it.
And you can't come up with answers, right?
Yes, you can.
Talk about
How could you not?
various parts of it, you just can't come
Come
up
on,
with
Corey.
answers.
I told you all
Something
this.
about it that just kind of gets on you. And you
Talk
just
about the bullet hole,
can't
Corey.
wash it off.
No, Because it doesn't make sense.
There's a Quran laying amongst the bodies. There's blood on the wall.
Bullet hole
David
in
Crowley's
the
right on
ceiling,
the verge
in the
of
living room
making
that they
it,
missed.
shall we say, or at least taking a really big step in getting beyond YouTube and actually getting to a movie, to theaters everywhere. No wonder it was
Hey, there's
catchy
Dan.
for conspiracy theorists.
Oh, there's me.
Hello, this is Dan Hennon, along with Greg Fernandez Jr. for another installment of the Crowley Case Updates. Today is June 4th, 2016, and we've got some updates on the case. So how are you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing good. It's hot, but that's okay.
Good, good.
I don't give a crap about credibility at all. Credibility means nothing to me.
It's true.
What I care about is truth.
I'm not in law enforcement. I don't have a background in detective work, but how it happened, I would say it's
I'd agree with that guy.
You've got no suicide note. There's no motive. And they said that out of their way to say that the blood test on the wall written Allah Akbar was the blood of Comel Crowley.
Right.
Well, who wrote the blood? Once you get into this wrong territory, once you start treading into these waters, there is a backlash against you by some shadow entity, who knows what it is, but you start pushing the wrong buttons to the elite, so to say, and there is payback.
To God be the glory. Police don't even know what really happened. It's true.
With the people who think that David Crowley is guilty is they don't even want us asking questions now.
It's true.
They don't decide when we get to stop asking questions. We get to decide that.
Did the government want to silence him and his film?
Or are there other theories?
After the truth, get knocked off.
This particular video really shows
It's
why
always
the
about the
criminal
government
establishment
stuff.
murdered not only
It's never about
him,
the facts.
but his family as well.
It's sad.
As
Hey, there's the bullet
admin
hole.
and creator of the
Boom. There's the
justice
bullet
pages
hole.
on the Facebook accounts, I allow all theories to come into play. I don't want to censor narratives. There are certain people out there that certainly believe that these things did happen.
Sure.
They ruled it a
I'm
double
open to that.
murder followed by a suicide at the hands of David without any real investigation. There was no
Yep.
signs of domestic
Just like
violence.
Philip Marshall.
There was no
Philip
evidence
Marshall's
of
another
a
one.
violent
It's
household.
strange case.
There was no evidence of PTSD.
According to Mitch Howe, no
There
evidence
was
of
no
PTSD.
evidence of mental illness.
No,
No
no.
depression, nothing.
Didn't stop the Gray State team from working with him. If they did.
There are certain points in every story that you can recognize that this is what happens to the character at this point in the story. For example, after Act 2 begins, eventually the midpoint is created, which is the metaphorical inmost cave. So the hero enters the labyrinth to fight the Minotaur. And
Yeah,
he
emoticon.
emerges with the secret, but the fight isn't
One big
over.
difference
And
between
that
Philip
applies to
Marshall
other
and
stories, like
the
character
David Crowley
doesn't have
thing
the right
is
idea yet.
the dog.
Still
In one
kinda
case, the
struggling,
dog
but
died. In the other
achieves
case, it didn't.
progress through
Thought that was
proactivity.
interesting.
And all
I'm
these
not
things, and then eventually there's the
saying
supreme
that I
ordeal,
believe David
which,
Crowley is guilty or
It's
innocent.
like the ultimate fight to death.
Now we go back to Afghanistan, November 20th, 2008.
You know, he had a whole album for it that he made while he was in Afghanistan.
That's pretty cool.
He's like picking away here, you know, like he's played guitar his whole life. So.
Far from heavy metal.
Well, David was good at whatever he decided was worth being good at. He was good at being a father. He was good at being a husband. He was good at school. You know, he did things differently. He thought differently, and he worked harder, and he was more driven.
This is Crowley. Testing out the Spartan.
Now we go back to Iraq,
It's not
2006.
Oh, it's a little
Going back in time here.
Kinda.
Yeah, well, maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Whatever.
2006. I know people were there then. It's terrible.
Again. Finish him.
These poor kids.
Second spear. Awesome.
Everything he did it
Poor kids.
to his utmost ability. He never
I didn't know him
half-assed
at all.
anything. He saw what he wanted, and he went.
I knew of his trailer in
Took it.
2012. Did not like it. The Decline high school film directed by David Crowley. We're going way back in time now. With Mitch Heil, who was also a veteran as well.
We never needed to join the military, but like we were playing airsoft,
Best friend in
and, like,
high school.
paintball or whatever. We tried to make it as realistic as possible, I guess. So we're trying to wear accurate uniforms and trying to do, military type movements and military type things. And for me, and I think for him too, it was just a natural progression of, I like the military, I like guns, I like, that type of thing. So I'm like, I would like to progress from playing it to being it.
It's a big difference.
I can't ever remember deciding to join the Army, but of course we were all inundated with the whole glory aspect of it, having seen Black Hawk Down, which came out around the time that we were in 10th grade. And so at some point it became obvious to us that we were joining the military.
Well, this is fun.
We're in Iraq, 2006.
I served in Ramadi, Iraq in 2006, and I witnessed directly what we're doing there, the good and the bad.
Put in the water. You drank it all. Drink it all. Here, give it old boy right there.
How sad. So sad.
9/11
Poor
obviously generated a lot of emotion.
It did.
You see 3,000 of your fellow Americans incinerated. You think that sucks. So when they say we need to go to Iraq because of this, you're going to Iraq, buddy.
So he probably didn't believe 9/11 was an
I've
inside
seen people
job back
shot
then.
in the head. I've seen people killed. I've seen people blown up. I've been in combat. I've shot people. I know how combat goes. You die like animals. We die like animals. You bleed out, and then you leave a corpse that looks surprised. And that's just how it is.
Sorry, I'm so sick.
I witnessed directly how the mentality of the American soldier is being used, and directly how the mentality of the American public is being used. I mean, when you follow a flag, you're going to be manipulated.
Agree.
It's not like following a person or following an idea. You're following a country, and whatever that country says to follow, you're going to do.
You have to. They own you at that point.
It is morally reprehensible what we're doing in the Middle East. And if you don't fucking understand that yet, you need to open your eyes, because you are a slave for the most insidious global agenda mankind has ever known, and you are directly responsible for that.
I didn't learn about
At some point,
9/11
you've got to
till years
realize
later.
that you're just a dog jumping through hoops for the government.
Alright, he took a sip, I'm taking a sip. Now we're in Texas, June of 2008. Shout to the wife,
David called me and said,
David.
"Hey, I met this girl and we're getting married." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, we're getting married in 2 weeks."
It was like pretty quickly. 2 weeks.
I said, "I heard you were seeing somebody for a couple months, but wow."
David, would you have this woman, Kamel?
Hey, sometimes you know, right? Got married in Waco, Texas, May 22nd, 2008. 6 weeks after first meeting, they were married. Wow.
The way that Kamel would speak of David, it felt very high school, I think is the best way to describe it. Kind of that first love, the puppy love, infatuation. It seemed very sweet, but always would make me question how that can go on for so long.
Kamel was a strong-willed woman, confident, assertive, very intelligent, but she followed the leader. Because I remember David telling me that she was Muslim. And then I remember David, exhibiting very much Christian-like traits and speaking a lot about biblical stuff. And then all of a sudden, when I'm hanging out with Kamel, she's Christian.
Interesting. I wonder what
Having
changed
been
her mind.
overseas and having seen what like Sharia law had done to the people in Iraq, he did not like the religion Islam. He loved Muslim people, but he felt that Islam subjugated the people, and
I agree.
he felt very strongly about that.
That's my view. I agree. Soon after David and Camille are married, he's redeployed to Afghanistan. Man, that sucks. This redeployment is a surprise, as Crowley has been told he would be discharged after.
First heard he was having
stop
problems
loss?
when he went to Afghanistan, and he was really struggling because he's now afraid. He was never afraid before, but now that he's met Kamel, he really has a reason to live.
Interesting.
He really doesn't want to get killed.
He has a wife and a daughter
Never
on the
seen
way,
documentation.
and he thought he was going back to civilian life, and he'd done his time, and Uncle Sam said thank
I
you.
think the sister
And
even
now all of a
said that
sudden,
she was
is
still a
being thrown
Muslim.
into what he feels to be a corrupt
That's
war.
what she told me, if I remember correctly.
What the stop loss did to
Contradicting
his
stories.
worldview, and how he described it to me, was that he had a breakdown.
I was stop lost. I was involuntarily held by the military for 15 months.
That sucks.
I was forced to deploy against my will. Had to leave my brand new wife at home. And I come back from that very disgruntled, to say the least.
That sucks.
Nothing good ever comes out of a deployment except for, well, a body count.
That's not good.
After today. Why are you making on me?
You're pretty.
Get out of here. Hey, Ronnie.
Kamel was very devoted and attached to Ronnie. Ronnie was her world. She and Ronnie had a very special relationship, always hugging and happy and joking around, and she was very attentive with her.
What did you have for lunch today? Hmm? You had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Yeah.
She was just what I thought every parent would want in a daughter. She likes pink. She's adorable. She has goofy features, and there's just so much to love about her.
You like cookies, huh? Okay, say goodbye to Uncle Danny.
Bye-bye. Big smile.
She'd have been my dream girl, as a dad.
Not sure what kind of sadism this is. Because he's never going to get that stick. And I think that's the whole point. Let's hope no one loses an eye. Because then I got to deal with it.
Kamel would make a lot of comments on the fact that David was very clear he did not want any more children, which at the time I thought was weird because they were so young. So to be that final about that decision at such a young age
Could change later.
surprised me.
Sure.
Hey, so what you looking at?
This one.
Are you going to kill?
No, we're not.
You're not going to kill? Why?
Because I'm not going to kill him.
Well,
Why
that's
would you
nice.
kill?
That's good.
He's a baby.
Ugly baby. And we definitely don't kill babies, do we?
No.
You shouldn't kill
When
anybody.
I was a baby, we don't kill my baby.
Nope. That's why you're still alive, and it's your 4th birthday tomorrow.
When I'm a baby, we don't kill my. When I was a baby, and then you don't kill me when I was a baby.
It's a
Nope,
weird
no one
thing to
killed
say
you.
to a kid.
I couldn't pull it off.
Internal desire.
If a character has a desire, that means he often has a competing internal desire,
You talk to
which
kids
often
about
comes
death.
from a past trauma that usually is explained at the midpoint. It becomes very scientific and very methodical, but that doesn't mean it's any easier to create.
This
So
wall
I'll have certain colors that represent when the character will acknowledge his inner trauma.
some drone shots. Alright, he goes to film school after Afghanistan in 2009. Kamel works full-time as a dietitian. Crowley and Danny Mason embark on the Gray State project.
Gray State is shot everywhere, but mostly it's shot in a studio. But you'd never know looking at the footage. All this buzz that people have for Gray State, we didn't start it. The story is, I mean, the farther down you go, the story becomes bigger and it involves more people. It involves generations and generations of Americans and everyone else playing their part leading up to this moment. So yes, I mean, once you begin to connect these dots, there's no way you can't tell a story about it.
That's why it
He
was
was
made
introduced
into a
to the
TV
idea.
series.
It started out as a fun little fantasy, and then I think it kind of snowballed and got bigger than he had imagined it would.
Okay, Mitch. Yeah, put a mark down.
He had a very take control personality, and I think I always got like submissive of it. After I had seen the results, I'm like, well, I didn't agree with you, but holy shit, this looks
They're
good.
using that wall
so
against him?
I'm
Really?
gonna go with it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be frank. This is a public execution. Gunshot to the back of the head. Who wants it?
Oh shit. Are you kidding me?
Yes, I want to kill.
Why are they...
So this was
very
in the trailer,
suggestive.
this would have been preparing for one of the execution scenes where one of the militia people basically executes 4 people in a row. So we were prepping for that spot.
Didn't this strike you as kind of creepy?
Yeah, very creepy.
There's Eric Nelson in the back. Can hear him.
Yeah, you can even like give a little bit of a cock and if you want.
David's right-handed. His right hand was missing.
Don't even
Let's
walk
not
up
forget
before
that.
the guys kind of do it from a distance.
So why police came to the conclusion so quickly that he was guilty is also another interesting thing. They didn't even have the hand.
This is the grossest thing about this movie is that it comes home like this. All right. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Adam's first mark. Camera's rolling. Action. Here it comes, guys. Breathing. Breathing. Here it comes.
Sorry, I'm gonna blow my nose from time to time.
Good. Cut. Cut. That's gross. That's just gross, you guys.
We spent days and hours with each other.
Crazy because he has
That's
a
kind
lot
of how
of
we
notes.
became
That's
the little band of
ridiculous.
brothers, or the Crawleyan Knights, as I would call it.
Adam, do you know what's going on?
Absolutely not. I just listen to you. We only hire the finest people here.
Okay, Adam, ready?
I never felt like David was necessarily the alpha dog. It was more of David was the type of person that would literally give his shirt for you, or off his back for you.
Anyone who's not packing should be.
He turned into a pit bull when he was directing, but set that aside, I mean, he was a sweetheart.
Awesome. Awesome. What's next? What are we doing next? You're my AD, okay?
Okay, it says I'm live. It's telling me I'm live right now. If anyone can verify that, that would be great. I have gone ahead and just paused the video. So if anyone can hear me live, please let me know. That would be great so I can continue this. Okay, we're back. All right, we are back. Thanks. Sorry about that. You know, that's life, right? Go ahead and just set that there. So I paused it now. Okay. I just paused it for a couple seconds so I could get back. And we are at the, looks like we're at the 36:12 mark. So, okay, thank you everyone for letting me know. I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this. Okay.
At his beck and call, night and day, to get this project pushed and done. You know, because David's success would ultimately mean their success.
We got to like him, otherwise we do not care. And when he comes in at the end, like, oh, that guy again.
I don't think you're supposed to care. It's not about him. tried to save Kelly, and then he throws this beautiful funeral for this girl, which I like. And, you know, there's just something mysterious about him, and I'd like to leave it there. I don't want to know him yet, because I'm trying to figure Daniel out.
Kamel still is a mystery. I mean, the vibe that I always got was free-thinking, independent woman.
How's that
So
a mystery?
the idea that she somehow becomes a puppet of her husband, just that's the question that's still there, right?
Kamel was definitely intelligent. She was definitely very good at anything that she
Master of
put her
public
mind
health.
to.
Wow.
But I think what made her so good was that she was intelligent but also extremely passionate.
Come on, baby, get it. I'm gonna run with you.
She was easy to talk to and was a quick thinker when you would ask her questions. She was intellectually curious and jumped on whatever she thought she should be pursuing.
Showing her business
If it
website.
was the paleo diet, she was all on board with that.
We've done the
They named their dog Paleo. You know, I think she was trying to find her place.
What are you guys doing?
We're making cupcakes.
Looks like eggs.
Egg and bananas.
Bananas.
With butter too.
So Kamel starts baking cakes and she realizes how
Good shoes.
good she is at it. Not only good, but amazing.
Oh, I
So
missed
she
the
starts
scarf.
Her idea, KC Cakes. She
Winnie
would
the
make
Pooh.
like an Elmo cake for Rania for her birthday. This could have been huge if she wanted to. She's that good.
Yeah, they
This
could
one-
find anything.
This was
about
my birthday
like this.
cake here. Notice the golfer taking the divot and not even hitting the ball. So, like, she's very perceptive. Emotionally, she was very smart. And I think, like, David really trusted her with his feelings and emotions.
This was not the Annie doc I viewed. I wonder if this is an extended version. I know there was a.
That's what I hated about it.
I guess there's a director's cut.
Better
I'm
than
not
what I
sure.
was imagining.
The Annie version, maybe it was shortened down.
So
or
David
something.
Crawley,
I don't know.
Bucksall Convention, he self-funds a trailer for a movie that doesn't exist. He's going to use that trailer
Well, yeah, he's
as
gonna
a
make it.
marketing tool to get money to pay himself in order so he can write the script. Then he's going to take that script, take it to Hollywood, get $30 million to make the movie that he wants to make.
Okay.
It's an improbable dream. I mean, it's a guy in Apple Valley. He's unemployed. He's got a young family, and he's doing it in reverse order. I don't believe that even he could have foresaw how successful that was going to be.
Seems weird. Parts of the Annie doc are missing. Interesting. Team America. Filming sound effects or audio to insert. Why don't they say what he's really doing here? Make it seem like he's just staring into the camera.
Okay, parents, once we get everyone together. police typically view us, peasants in situations where they get to use their weapons. They have no regard for your rights, okay? So what's going to happen? It's a 3 a.m. raid, okay? You're all asleep, so you're all in your pajamas. If you feel like you're warm enough, I want you barefoot. You're getting pulled out of your bed in the middle of the night by these armed goons. They're going to take you out. They're going to force you into the ground.
He's basically telling all these little kids that we're essentially going to,
Who have already agreed to do it.
rip you out of this house and.
Okay, so listen up. I'm going to instruct my squad leaders. If it gets too
It's not like it's a surprise to them. I'm sure they know it already.
So you can scream, "Don't hurt me, stop hurting me," and stuff, and they're not going to listen. If you say banana, they will hands off. They'll stop.
It's funny. Could
Doing
even
what a
get kids
director
to
would
do
do.
what he wanted.
And action.
Some of the family wanted parts taken out. I think the whole Alam family stuff was taken out. Look at the clock there. It's 9:11. The Alam family withdrew all of their stuff, which that's the stuff I was hoping to get. There's some interesting stuff there. Very interesting
Hey, what does
stuff.
dangerous mean?
Danger means scary monster. That what dangerous means. When you push the red one, then the monster is gonna get you and you're bloody. No, when you're a little girl, and then you get it out.
The bloody monster's coming.
No, it's gonna get mommy Como, and then when she's a little girl, and then she got blood on her face, and then monster's gonna get her, and when she's a little girl, and then she got blood. And then she.
Look at all her dramatic effects.
And
There
then,
you go, dramatic.
and then you got bloody. And then
She really thinks about these
blood everywhere, and then this room, and then this room is bloody, and then this room is the floor, and then lots of bleeding, and then the red man's gonna get you. And
Who's the red man?
And it's gonna get.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Let's face it. You can, there's a red rum quality to it. It's like The Shining, right? A premonition.
Yeah, but he's guilty, so
Though
forget
the
it.
girl is
Right?
prescient. I mean, the way she's talking about.
Well, we got no proof, but whatever. We'll just go with it
But
because
she has
police
been
say it.
exposed enough to some very dark things that this is what she knows, and this is what a little girl is now talking about. I mean, Jesus Christ, she's 5 years old.
Watch your mouth, buddy. Here we go with the Freemason scene, the guillotine. Disgusting. Here's the fear point, everybody. Bring it in. I wonder how the Freemasons felt about that.
We all do.
Oh, how many Freemasons are in Minnesota again? Ooh. Who has ties to Freemasons in the Gray State?
Morally
I'd like to know
injured,
that.
We have no common goals. We're just a bunch of individuals in a collective state, and we don't support each other. So once I identified that, I'm like, that's my villain. And so,
Yeah,
first
Leiden's
watching this
weird.
film can be like, they subconsciously recognize that this scene is where they're supposed to be.
They're really jumping around.
The hero and the villain.
2012 Gray State fundraising trailer premiere. Ugh. I just never liked the trailer. Sorry. Oh, they did. Some did. The ticket is interesting.
I
think for us, shooting the concept trailer, raising the money that we did, setting the goal and crushing the goal that we set for,
Thanks. I'll pay attention to the
back
board.
then we thought it was
It's
totally
starting to make
feasible
sense
to do
what you're
we were
saying
going
now.
to do.
We're very, very fortunate to have the crew from Gray State here today. Woo!
Yeah! I think the fans had a great expectation of David. I think they saw the Gray State as the
Jason
potential
Allen's a Gray
voice
State fan.
for this message and this story to be told.
This is David Crowley, the brains behind the madness. These guys are working very hard to put out this incredible film. Big time stuff.
He owns the
So
rights.
to hold David to that standard of excellence that he set himself up for.
Danny Mason wouldn't give up the
concept
rights
trailer
to
that
Gray
he put
State.
together, and this movement of videos.
I wonder what
and
Danny
social
Mason's
media
going to try to do with
and
Gray State.
press attention. They expected an incredible
Make
movie.
money?
Obviously, the things that we're showing, the things that we're saying are appealing to people.
Yeah, Mason Hendricks said he was going to send me some posters and some
project
Gray
started
State
as sort of
memorabilia.
like,
I'm still waiting for that,
What am I going to do
Mr.
this
Hendricks.
spring? But it's developed into this beast that we can't even keep up with.
So in the fall of 2012, the trailer comes out, and it very quickly just explodes online. He becomes a YouTube sensation. It's shared everywhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter,
I remember
whatever
that,
it may be.
and I
conspiracy theories
immediately
believe that this guy
red
is the
flags
happy messenger.
immediately with this trailer for me. Did not like
They've
it.
ordained him in some
Didn't
special
protest
way,
against it, but
and they're
did not
wanting
like
him
it.
to deliver.
Kept my mouth shut, but observed. In the fall of 2012-2013, Crowley's Facebook and Twitter following increases. It's important to understand who knows who has the access to Crowley's Facebook and Twitter, especially after his death.
Hey, Alex, good to talk to you again. I'm David Crowley. I'm the writer and director.
Why
of
is
Gray
Alex
State.
Jones so quiet
what will
on
happen
this?
in the film
So
is
quiet
the reason
on
we call
this
it Gray
topic.
State, or one of the reasons, is that it's a division of reality. So we have
Talk
people
about
who are
everything
living
else.
in the
These
Alex
guys will
Jones
talk about
world, who know
aliens
what's
in the
going
White
on, and
House
the
or
people who
whatever,
simply
but
don't.
don't talk about this one.
My role in this whole thing was not just to be there and assist David with whatever he wanted, because he knew he already had my commitment, but I was, of course, David's personal Rolodex. I'd been doing the work in the trenches with the revolution for years, and so I knew everybody already.
What camera you want me to look at?
Look at, you're talking to Sean. Talk to Sean.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. I got it, guys. We see a giant arms race against the American people, but not just here in the United States, worldwide. We see the globalists building a giant police state control grid and calling themselves technocrats. A technocrat is a group of dictators who use technology to control people. We are
The
already
messages
beginning
are
to
gone.
fall
Interesting. I'd like to hear more
the
about
great
that.
state.
Please make sure to bring that up after
This
we watch
fight
this.
is for the future of humanity, and we are in the fight. And it's now time for humanity to restore the republic,
Photos of
and
them
restore
at, or
freedom, and the Bill of Rights
pictures,
and Constitution.
the video of
just
them at
that simple.
Bilderberg. This is from Bilderberg,
Too much of your time, but can we have verbal consent?
2012.
Yeah, you can use this. Go ahead.
Your name?
I'm
My-
Alex Johnson.
Your name? Really?
There was already this movement that
Paul
was
Fest.
right at its peak when David was coming
I
along. with
remember
Gray
hearing
State
about the
Project.
Paul Fest.
So it wasn't corralling. There was already a big audience. And then the rest of the audience came once they saw what was being put out.
Has anyone heard of Gray State? The film explores trends like RFID, bio, and nanotechnology. These represent the fusion of authoritarian control and human flesh. And these trends are no longer science fiction.
David Crowley is the warrior, right? He's the warrior, though, that is the artist. And in that, they see a guy who can be a leader of this movement. He's the guy that's
So they're
going to
followers.
take it beyond
Got it.
just chat rooms to a bigger discussion.
Although I make no claim that my efforts as an artist best exemplify the thoughts and feelings of every person in this room, I do assert that as far as expressions of freedom go, this is one we can all get behind. And through our united effort, we can keep this film in the fiction section. Thank you.
Once you get into this information, there really is no end to it. It just leads into the next conspiracy, the next conspiracy. For example, you want to ask why veterans are on the watch list.
Now, this is coming out. Police agencies are being trained to watch veterans. So, veterans, gun owners, patriots, these sort of people who are independent of the system or can be, are they really a threat to the New World Order? You're fucking right they are. That's why they're being targeted.
What is the New World
I guess
Order?
I'm rambling. I got nothing. What's the next thing?
That footage looked like it was from the documentary
I
that he
think
was
he had an
making,
element
Gray
of
State,
paranoia
The
too.
Rise.
Like, whatever you told him, it's just he wasn't trusting it.
Oh, it was paranoid. Okay, sure.
He had gone through this transformation on that deployment. You know, it
Didn't
shocks
stop you
the
guys
system,
from working with him.
and you start looking at the world differently.
I don't know that much about the FB page,
Hey guys,
the
David
Facebook
Crowley from
page. I'd
Gray
like to
State
hear more
Project.
about that
Tonight,
too.
I'm going to be shooting a little bit for the
I
documentary.
think a lot of
Gray State
people
Rise.
removed a lot of
It's
things.
something I've been
Admins were taken
picturing
out,
for
and
the awakening moment that is
interesting
the
stuff.
eyes opening to appreciate the truth about our surroundings and our reality.
So now they're showing him filming. This must be their old house, the apartment that
I'm using
some
my wife
demonic
now as the
activity might have
subject.
happened in.
She ends up being in most of my projects.
Should I look at her at all? Like,
No.
oh, I'm so concerned
No.
for your life.
He always had to be in control of everything, every variable, and there's no collaborating with him. That was the problem. So
Oh. Yeah, he had collaborators. Got it.
Moms do that, like holding their child closer.
Well, it looks a little bit.
His personal page? Okay. Yeah, there were things removed from his personal page. Some tax talk, right?
I never saw them argue. I never saw anything like that. They did it. They had a bad spell back in 2013. I think David was on the road so much and doing this Gray State stuff.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
tough.
Mel felt she was holding the family together financially and filling in while David was gone so much that they had a rough spot for a while.
Did you guys have a surprise at school? Because that's what the paper said.
Kamala and I both worked in a clinic where we saw clients with eating disorders. The business that we created together was for nutrition around
3 posts
people
left and a
with
handful of
diseases.
pics. Interesting. Wow.
I would say Kamal and David
Think
were
we got
definitely both at
screenshots.
a point in their life that I think they both had pretty strong passions for separate things. Kamal the nutrition, David more the film. She did not have many other friends
Oh,
outside.
how much more of this do I have to watch?
She
38
made a lot of
minutes,
comments that she would have loved to have more friends and that she was looking for ways to do so. It was just kind of, oh, David is a little different, so,
Interesting.
it just
Only with
doesn't
3
work out.
friends.
But I could tell she was always
I
very
believe David Crowley was guilty.
Kamal's behavior
Were the
just
ones who were
didn't add up.
controlling the page?
He was involved in everything.
Or they were
And
posting?
She
Sorry.
always made it
I'll
seem
let you
like it's
clarify that
exactly
later.
what she wanted.
All right, Randy. Say hi, mommy. Hi, mommy. Okay, now we're gonna do the spin. Okay. Okay, let's spin. Ready? Set.
Oh, it makes me dizzy just looking at it.
So skinny. Oh. You don't like it as much as last time, huh?
It's fun, Daddy.
You like it? Is it fun? Yeah. Oh.
Couldn't do that. With the stomach for that.
So less than 2 years after the trailer comes out, he's made his way to Hollywood. He has script in hand.
Okay.
He makes contacts with legitimate Hollywood insiders who believe and tell David that they're going to go out there and raise the money for a $30 million movie.
So David got a development deal based on the trailer. Hey, there's Mike Boggio. Boggio. I keep saying
The way I
Boggio.
would
Sorry.
pitch this thing is
There's Mike
America's
O'Donnell.
finally had enough. It's the population of this country has had enough of a corrupt government, and they make a stand. I think to this day, there's still a built-in audience for a film like this.
David did a phenomenal job grassrooting
No
this
domestic
project.
violence.
You know, we see all that from our aspect,
Nothing
and
we
everything
know
that
of.
David put into this was phenomenal in our eyes.
I wonder if any
because
of the Gray State team
how
has records
this
of
thing
domestic
grew.
violence.
It took on its own legs and grew and grew and grew and grew.
This is our June 29th meeting. We're sitting at a pub on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. We all did a celebratory shot and to conduct new business. David was very laid back, very, very calm. In that meeting, it was just very, very, very professional.
No sense of just, hitting his lines or,
No, I never got that impression at all. If he was acting, he was one of the best actors I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
I was going to say the same thing.
Shitty pen. Shitty pen. We hate you. Mike's meeting 2. The outline. Projecting power, confidence.
Here
Talk
comes
fast.
a smear campaign.
Talk fast, easy, and project.
They want the
Almost
mics
right.
to really
Almost right. You're wearing something black.
go
You
against
gotta show
David
some
here.
arm veins. Watch on the left wrist. Bracelets on the right. A necklace that's long enough to be tucked in, nothing too flashy. Just enough to indicate that you're confident. in
Here
your
comes the
personality.
deception. Yes, this is that
not
the
a
Netflix
fleece,
documentary.
I'm not just a quick fleece.
The mics say David is psychotic.
Talking to me because this is my project.
You should listen to Dan Himmons' interview that
I
he
had
did
4,000
with Mike
first of all, I had
Bozio after
4,000
this,
fans before there was even
when the
a
mics
concept
realized that they had
I
been
dropped it to those
tricked
people,
by
and it ballooned to
a lot of things
32,000
in
you see
this, by
today.
what you're seeing right
These are the
now.
proverbial fish in a barrel that every
Taken out of
time you say
context,
New
maybe
World
not
Order,
tricked.
they get out
Okay,
their
taken out
wallets.
of context.
So, how are the rewrites? This will probably start it. How are the rewrites? First thing you're going to do is see what they do to each other. If they look at each other, are they measuring me right now?
Yeah.
Like, I see
I
one
wonder
producer,
which
just
Mike
one
says
producer
he's
click on
psychotic,
IMDb.
because Mike
This tells
Bozio
me that either this
said
is
that he
either
thought David
MEG's
was
first
normal, and they were
production,
working with David up
or
until
you
the
guys
day
have
he
something else
died,
in mind.
working on the deal.
Where you're achieving a dominant position by matching their experience with your
Excuse me.
enthusiasm. So let them answer, but your wrap up now. Here's the sunset on your beautiful day with your partnership with the mics.
Wow, that's kind of messed up that they played that. That's really in bad taste.
It's hard to express it. I got chills actually.
It's the most divisive bullshit I've ever heard in my life. It's not the David who I met.
I wonder if the divisive
This
BS
is
is
manipulative.
coming
This is
from them.
psychotic.
Yeah.
And I'm very insulted by it.
And then Eric Nelson
He's taken
apologizes
an
later
adversarial
to the
position
mics.
towards us and playing us for chumps from day one. And yet, from day one, it was a collaboration and a collaborative effort for the project. This is the complete opposite of that. This is, I am, controlling the project. I'm going to work out exactly what words to say to elicit what response. This is craziness.
That's personal stuff. I don't know.
I don't even have to write it. I just have to have the idea, and people
Okay, I'm
will start
listening.
to do things.
Oh,
I will make money off it.
there's the Illuminati sign. The pyramid.
Because this thing exists in my head. Whatever comes out of this first deal, I don't know what'll happen afterwards. Because we're creating this thing that exists outside of all of us.
You were given this thing.
Wonder if they played any of that stuff for the mics, or if they just played some of the things David was doing to psych himself up.
We've worked so hard and stuck together, and
Everything. We've stuck together through everything.
I'm so happy I understand you better. I love the bitch in you.
Passion, intensity, love is a lot of things. And love can turn into hatred too. It can turn into something negative if you put too much passion into it.
Oh. Good to know.
I just was concerned for him because you go from hanging out with a person religiously to getting cut off.
So he did that a lot, huh?
I mean, he withdrew from
Not just
all
at the
of us
end of
so
his life.
hard. Like, I texted him, and it would take a couple of days for him to get back to us, and it's like, well, what's going on, man? He's like, I'm writing, I promise I'll, da-da-da-da. And then when he emerged from that...
So he did emerge.
That's when he said to all of us, like, if you ever see me doing that again, say something. Tell me. Because I went to a dark place.
Interesting.
So if I ever go back to my dark place, please tell me.
Kamel came to me one day and out of the blue said, I want to separate the business. At first it was a shock. I would receive these long emails from her, which never matched up with the way that she would speak to me in person.
Interesting.
I remember saying to her at one point, Kamel, I feel like I'm speaking to David, not you.
This is a journal entry. It's been a busy week writing Gray State, polishing it up. By the time you read this again, this whole nightmare will be over.
So he's finishing it.
David started journaling in day one. It's a program for journaling.
And
where
stopped
he put
when?
pictures in every entry. There were random pictures, I think, but then he just journaled what was going on in his life at the time, mostly.
And that stopped when the journal
He
stopped.
liked his dog a lot. I think his dog was one of his best friends. May 31st of 2014, journal entry. You will perform a ritual, a prayer for wisdom, love, empathy. These are the keys to unlock your ideal future, and you don't have an hour to waste.
So he's searching, right? He's a guy that is trying to bring a greater truth or truths or things that are hidden from us. He brings the spotlight to himself. David starts to feel pressure. I mean, it's not just about him anymore. It's not just about what he's bringing to the table. He's got all these other people at the buffet, and they want his product. They want what he said he was going to do.
Well, they get their own product.
David got to a point where he got so upset with his fans that if they wrote something negative, he would ban them from the page. He didn't want to hear the negative anymore. He was like,
It's a lot they didn't put in the movie, like the bullet hole
take time. It's
in the
not
living
easy.
room ceiling.
Take it or leave it. I don't have to listen to your shit.
And I think when you have a target audience of that nature, they're going to respond.
I just see something from 2015.
Not believe anything they're going to dig. You know, kind of like comic book movies. If you get something wrong, the die-hard comic book fans are going to attack you for this or attack you for that. These people are just actually legitimately insane, though. That's the difference.
I mean, the guy's more libertarian.
They
than
could be
anything, but
robots.
He
They
realized
could be bots.
that suspicions of wanting less government or questioning
Doesn't mean they're real
government's
people.
motives or why there's wars or why are we,
Find the bots and
in
block them.
Afghanistan or Iraq like that, is way different than these other people who hate. And he wasn't talking about hate.
He wasn't talking about hate. Huh?
August 5th, 2014. David and Kamel are preparing for Rani's birthday party. His quote was,
It's a
unveiling
big deal.
from the distance everyone has perceived in us, ridding ourselves of dysfunctional relationships, friends, family.
That's the last time all the family was together, it sounds like, at this birthday party. It's a very important piece right here. Sunday, August 10th, 2014, at Rainia's 5th birthday party. Very important day here. David's mom is here.
Birthday party, the only thing
It's not mentioned very
that
much.
stood out to me was that they weren't talking at all. She had nothing bad to say about him. They
David's
had the
sister in the
closest
background.
relationship, and I just expected that they would flirt or kid around a little bit, but
Haven't seen David's mom at all. Where is she? She's here at this birthday party.
I'd say it was during Ranya's birthday party where I noticed such a disconnect between
Really?
him and Kumail, and it was just really weird. It wasn't like any other time I've ever been in that household. It was stale, stagnant air. It just was bad.
There's David's mom. She's in a cast. Going into the basement, are we? Here we go with the occult stuff. Fortunately, this is the part I've been waiting for.
The story, and you'll see almost nothing until it spikes. But then a hint starts to rise.
It's too bad Sidger's stuff was cut out.
Come from, and have I planted it appropriately in the past? And able to see, like, when the bad guy is introduced, is there enough of the occult hint? Has it been properly set up in the inciting incident?
The Freemasons?
So I can ultimately bring it from nowhere and create this emotionally
Chopping people's heads off.
charged climax that is loaded with meaning that you didn't see coming.
I moved back to Minneapolis in 2014 and linked back up with David.
Who's
He was
doing
talking to me
this
a lot about spiritualism.
weird,
At this
dark,
point, him
shadowy
and Kamel had converted.
walking
in a sense.
towards
They
the
were
camera?
no longer talking about Christianity. They were talking about and the resonance of the universe
That is
and
just ridiculous.
transcendental philosophy and connecting to higher levels of consciousness. And whatever that was, David tapped into it.
It's just for us. It's August 29th. Ronnie came home with a fever, and we were connecting and playing.
Yeah, we were painting nails and doors right here to her room. I was sitting on the floor and she was sitting facing me, and I had my back towards her bed. And then
There's a scar.
we both felt something come through the door.
David
An
never
evil
really got
presence.
into a lot of details of what was going on with Kamel spiritually or what would actually take place.
Danny's
It was
done
more
some ghost hunting of his own.
So if
Paranormal Sarah.
some kind of spiritual attack, what would that look like?
A demon.
And then, okay, cool. And then as I'm going back to painting my nails, I know where her voice is because I've been talking to her. So a voice higher than that. So I just feel like the height was higher than where she was at the bed. Do you like the song? I just froze. I'm like, Ryan, did you say something?
Makes me think of maybe Ronnie was talking to an evil presence in the basement.
She's awake or where it came from. She's like, what? No, I didn't say anything. I'm like, did you hear that? She's like, no, I didn't hear anything. And I came out and told him.
She sounds sane to me right there.
Want to know what I really think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people lean on the supernatural when they can't understand things that they're experiencing and feeling.
She said she heard a voice in the house.
And it's
A
easier to
presence.
believe that they were being chased by some kind of metaphysical spirit than they were being chased by their own problems.
What is this guy talking about? That's ridiculous. It's very misleading.
After his daughter's birthday party, he starts just shutting down. Guy who was on social media all the time stops.
Okay,
Stops returning
what they're
phone calls.
showing
Very
him
important
doing,
people who he needs in order
holding the
to
gun and all that.
And nobody really knows why.
I'm not sure that's how the house looked
So
like
after the birthday party, me and David's
when police found the
very
bodies.
sporadic.
It's interesting.
He was looking much more to be the sole controller of Gray State. He was looking for me to sign away my rights as being the creator and one of the actors in it.
Wow.
And I wouldn't budge on it.
They're really painting him.
September 8th, 2014, there was a journal entry. The universe may want me to destroy Danny Mason since he has given indication that he wants to stand in my way. What a fool. Convert him to my cause or destroy him. His next actions will decide. Sounds worse than it was. It was just David being creative, I think.
Yikes. I was showing Kamel and Rainier sleeping.
They
Everybody's
were
sleeping now.
in it together. Like the disconnecting, which was weird. Because here they are disconnected at the birthday party. But yet, they as a couple are disconnected from all of us. And then it starts just going downhill from there.
It was a very drastic change. She became very isolated. Nobody would really see her. You wouldn't even know if she was at work, except for the fact that she was seeing her patients. She would take the back ways in and the back ways out.
if there would have been any little clue, if I just would have known even about what it looks like for a woman to be nervous or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the spirits. I mean, come on.
September
I don't know.
30th, 2014, a journal
Lighting.
entry. Utterly bewildered and spent. I think a part of me is broken. People are just creatures to
2013?
tolerate and get around so I can be on my way. I was going to babysit for him, and that fell through.
That was bigger than I thought.
After that, I would send him a text here and there offhandedly, and nothing, just didn't hear anything back. And that wasn't out of the ordinary. He gets busy, he does his writing, he gets buried in his work, so I wasn't concerned. I did notice that he wasn't responding. Then it became more of, I don't want to say pleading, but then I began to think something was wrong.
According to the police report, Kumail's sister drives 17 hours from Texas, pretty much as a desperate intervention. Her sister's not returning phone calls. They can't get in contact with David.
Thought she'd drive there to pick
And
up
so
the
she
car.
takes it upon herself to drive 17 hours from Texas and show up in Apple Valley.
Thought they went there to pick
She
up the
gets to the
car.
door, rings the doorbell, and Kumail is home. And who appears in the door? It's David, who ends up telling her, "No, you can't see your sister." And she never does.
She came in late October? That's insane. Why wouldn't you let her in the house?
I mean, what possible motivation, what possible reason could you have to explain that?
The only reason is if Kamel didn't want to see her sister, which to me is hard to believe too. That's hard to believe. But we don't know. Oh, now we're back to the
So,
wall.
the third plot twist, the third act twist.
Oh, the third plot twist.
There has
Oh
to be a
my
little
god,
bit of
this
willingness
guy's...
to be killed at the end. She's basically becoming a martyr.
18 minutes left, thank god.
Or just by taking out a gun, or just by letting him do it. But when she dies, he lets her go.
Yes, David wouldn't let
Spiritually
Kamel's sister in the
understanding
house.
that she got out, and that he will too.
I remember saying to her in her office one day, "Kamel, I feel like I'm speaking to David, not you. I want to speak to Kamel." And her response was, "Why? Do you think I'm not intelligent enough to come up with these things?"
October 30th, 2014, there was a journal entry. It said, Kamel got raptured today. Period. She's still here.
How's that possible? You're either raptured or you're not.
It was hard to hear when I first listened because there's some background noise in the room. I didn't realize there was anything out here.
What is it? I just told you.
Sounds scared.
Yeah, you decided. What I understand. Don't you want? Of course. I thought you were too. I thought I cried. I want you to come with me.
recording here.
They should have added the
David, right
dialogue
after
to
this
that.
vision happened of going into a room and trying to explain right away.
Did you lose
what
me?
Kamel had said, and that's here too.
1:48 p.m. 30 October.
Looks like I'm still here.
2014. I was just getting
Okay.
back from Home Depot with a bunch of wood to build the compost.
Jesse Gal said we lost Greg.
And something she began to shake and weep and howl, as if like someone had died. And she sat down. She said, "This is what rapture is."
That doesn't mean she was raptured.
Yeah. Do you want? I was just trying to remember everything. If you want to contribute, you can help me remember. Okay. You said you've come very far to find me, and Ronnie and I need to come with you. And there's not much time. Time is not of our world. And on some level, your soul has committed to mine, and we're gonna go somewhere. And Ronnie's coming with.
I was kind of skeptical, trying to make sure the source from whence it came was real. I don't know.
Yeah, she's hearing
My
visions.
skeptical side, right now, my scientific side, my brain's questioning where it came from. It's like, oh, is it something to confuse us? Am I crazy?
Well, that sounds like a demon to me.
Sid and Nancy. I think what happened was Sid and Nancy. I don't mean this to speak ill of Kamel, rest her soul. I don't mean this to speak ill of David, rest his soul, and their daughter. But something was planned.
Planned? How does that show something was
I think
planned?
Kamel was in a hopeless situation and was just pretty much isolated with him. No friends, no family. And I think that she was hopeless.
There's clearly...
The last time I was at his house, I went and brought him some lenses back.
It's like they
That was
think
in
there's a
early
presence.
November, and I remember
Kamel
looking at
thinks
David
there's some
and
type of a
thinking, wow, you
presence
look like
there.
shit.
Why are they not... Why aren't they
November 2nd.
focused on that?
2014. A journal entry. The world is an inverse perversion of light. We are made of it and its weakness. A flashlight in the mind of Satan. But
There
I
you
am
go.
darkness.
There you go.
I mean, hindsight's 2020, but at the same time, when you're locked off from this person for months at a time, and they're not they literally cut himself off from everyone.
Not from
Like,
everyone.
Deactivated his Facebook, wasn't answering phone calls.
Not from
wasn't
everyone.
doing anything, wasn't seeing his family.
He's talking with Chris Peck
What do you do?
these last few days. Who else
The
was he
last time I
chatting
saw him
with?
was late November. I've been over there a few times.
Contacted
in the middle
Jason
of
Allen.
Something he's working on, and just don't talk. I'll be present a little bit. Just don't disturb. I need my time. Don't really need anybody in and out. So it's more of kind of putting up a wall. But yeah. Just emotions, man. So fuck off for a second.
Oh boy.
December 7th, 2014. The last pictures David took on his cell phone were of Kamel. She seemed happy in the pictures, and David used one of those pictures on his phone as the background.
Kamel was on edge. He was on edge. He was thin. Eyes were sunken in. And that's when I approached him. I said, you know what, David? You told me to speak up whenever I noticed you start going into your dark place again. I said, Danny's worried about you. I'm worried about you. What's going on, man? And he literally looked at me and said, you and Danny have nothing to fucking worry about. I'm fine.
When Kamel met me around Thanksgiving, she looked sad. She looked uncomfortable. I didn't know what to ask her. I was just trying to keep her there. I don't want to start crying right now. So I don't want to talk about that anymore.
December 19th, 2014. David and Kamel pick up their daughter, Ronnie, from their last day of school before the Christmas holidays. That was the last time they were seen by anyone that we know. Driving to his house on Christmas Eve, there was a voice in my head. I don't know if I want to talk about it.
The voice in your head too?
So when I was driving to his house on Christmas Eve, I had a feeling like that I needed to go to his house and just tell him that I loved him. And by the time I got close enough, I had talked myself out of it, and I said I'll just stop by another time.
2 days, 3 days, 4 days later.
Yeah, I wondered.
You stopped by 4 days later.
December 25th, 2014. David's up early in the morning as usual and was planning his gray staked future.
Still planning.
And he writes, Christmas. 6-day countdown. Meme. It will be a new year. And he proceeded to make a plan for every day until the new year.
Plan for
He
the
also
future.
made a plan that went way beyond that. Later that morning, David kills his family and then himself.
How do you know? Based on what? Based on what? I think he added that last part.
An idea going throughout, like, how can life keep emerging? How can it keep cropping up in new forms, especially with the way things are? But life has that sort of that nature of resilience and persistence. It's always popping up, even in the worst circumstances, and it's through that changes are inevitable. I got a call from my dad, and he asked if I was sitting down. He says, David. And I was like, oh. And then he goes, Kamel. And I was like, oh. And Ronnie.
Pretty much.
And
It's based on be quiet. Yeah.
I've never been stabbed, but it felt like something was going into my stomach with each name. And I couldn't
Yeah, it's hard to
breathe. And I just thought, this is like scripted almost.
Apple Valley Police recently closed their exhaustive year-long investigation.
Exhaustive.
And for the first time, we're sharing their findings
Yeah,
with
right.
the Fox 9 investigators.
It looks like David snapped and put the lives of his
It
wife,
looks like it.
daughter,
Based on what,
and
buddy?
ultimately
Nothing.
himself.
Who wrote Allah Akbar on the wall?
Ask him about where's the evidence David did it.
In her blood.
Yes.
Why did he do that?
We believe. La la la.
Kind of
Ba
a
ba
parting
ba.
shot.
Based on what, buddy? Who is we?
David Crowley seemed like he was very specific in how he wanted to be perceived.
They
in the
just
outside
brushed
world.
right over the death, don't they? Wow. Right over the allegations.
It was almost like David gave us this plot twist at the end.
Almost.
Of Allah Akbar. Yeah, this plot twist that wasn't going to have any resolution, but that people would continue talking about.
No resolution because you guys can't prove it.
Walks into a house and sees Allah Akbar written on a wall and goes, "Oh yeah, David Crowley, someone who is not a Muslim, all of a sudden now he's writing it, and that somehow proves."
Why do they always forget the Greg from the junior in my name?
Crowley
I
would
don't get
not
that.
write Allah Akbar in his wife's blood on the wall and leave a Quran open. He never brought up that issue once.
If he did, how do they prove it? Or they just walk in and say, "Oh yeah, oh well, obviously David wrote it. He's only got one hand, but hey, must be him."
To me, it was, my thinking is that
It was
throwing off the chains of
the bullet hole
pressure
in the living room that I'm gonna forget.
delivering this movie, pressure from people.
You're
telling
reaching,
he had to
reaching,
make this movie,
stretching.
pressure as a man who has to provide for his family,
Da da da. I have no proof, but I'll just say he's guilty.
emancipating himself from all of it.
Yeah, he's guilty. That's it. I'll go back to the
David
New Yorker.
planned ahead. David was 10 steps ahead.
I thought he
12
snapped.
steps ahead.
I thought he snapped.
And
Now he's
his
planning
military
ahead
training, if it taught me the same thing, I guarantee it taught him the same thing.
to kill your wife and
Alternate
daughter.
courses of action for every event that
Please.
occurs.
Please. Okay. Still no evidence. Yay! One day he just kills his family. Okay.
I don't think you're missing anything. I mean,
You're missing
coming up
everything.
with a good, solid timeline for everything. You're
No, there
interviewing
is
all of
not.
us.
There's
The
a
only thing
whole
you're
month
missing
where
is
nobody knows what happened. There's no good solid
You're
anything.
never gonna know why.
You're never gonna know if, buddy.
Danny, everybody, family, nobody's gonna know why.
And you're not gonna know if.
That's the only thing that you're not gonna have there.
No, that's not. It's not. Come on.
And this is the strange thing. It's almost like he created a soundtrack.
If you know the if, you'll know the why. The reason they don't know the why is because they don't know the if. Nice
This
friends.
music probably played
Really good
for
friends.
hours, maybe days after they were dead. Was he imagining these 53
Was
songs?
he this? Was he that?
as
Was he
the songs
guilty?
that he would play while he's committing a
Was
murder
there
suicide?
any evidence David Crowley
It's hard to
is
know.
guilty?
I mean, this was on a
No,
loop.
it's hard to know, man.
Who plans a soundtrack for the murder of their family?
Who accuses somebody of being guilty without evidence?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know you don't know. You don't know shit.
Ready?
Oh, but you need to encourage me. What? Need a free bite? A free one? You can't even have it.
1 minute.
1 minute?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna show this to you at graduation. You'll see.
You like the dog more than most people. Well, except for his family. Probably like the dog more than every person.
I told you, buddy. I told you.
Yeah, this is cute. I want the dog now back.
I thought you already had him. Yeah, emotion. Wow. All right, I'm back. I would like to know what everybody else thinks. Okay, I'll look at that right now. Emotion. Yeah, it's all about emotion. I'm just gonna check a few things. Yes. 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 I have to check something and I'm just saying yes. Okay, so I'm really curious to hear what people think. Sorry, I had to step out. I just had to go to the restroom. So, I guess my first thoughts are, yeah, everything that they left out, everything that they put in did seem very calculated. That's just my first thought. I don't think it's really something that will need to be seen a couple times, but I'm just gonna read through. I'm gonna read through some of these comments that people have been leaving here. I really do appreciate all of you joining in, and now that I've watched this documentary, I do really believe, like, okay, well, it doesn't answer the one question I think everybody came here for, right? The one question we all came here for was, why did they think David Crowley is guilty? So you'll also notice that the police were not in this film. Now they were in Tom Lydon's video, but the police were not interviewed the way that a lot of other people, including myself, were. And that is because the police did not want to be involved in this film. Eric Nelson's team did reach out to the Apple Valley Police, and they declined to be a part of this documentary. So you have to understand why. You have to wonder why. The Alam family was supposed to be in the documentary, and I believe that they were going to discuss more of the spiritual presence that was in the Crowley's house, and for whatever reason, they pulled out of this movie too. So you have to wonder those few things. There's nothing in there that really leads me to believe that there's any pack theory or anything like that. I was also looking for that too. The most intriguing thing, and the thing that I think is highly possible, is the demonic presence. And maybe that's my bias because I am a Christian, and because I do believe that you can invite evil spirits in, and without Jesus Christ, those evil spirits can cause you to do harm to others or can harm you too. And that's just my personal view on it. So I'm not sure how everybody else feels, but please try to leave some comments right now, and I'm going to try to address you. I wish we could have a real back and forth where we're really talking, but since we do have these comments in here, I'd like to really get some of your feedback on this. What did you think? What did you feel when you were watching this? And how many times have you watched this? Because I don't really feel like this is something that I need to watch for a second time. And at the same time, I don't really feel like if anybody is really researching the David Crowley case, I think, yes, they should at least watch this once. But there's really nothing in there that is groundbreaking. There's really nothing in there that we haven't already heard. It's a lot of public stuff. So let's just go through some of these things. I like to think they fake their deaths and are watching us, watching Greg, watching them. That's a Inception type thing or something, right? When I spoke to Sidra, Kamel's sister, she kind of thought the same thing. She was upset that people were saying that the Crowleys faked their death. And come on, put yourself in her shoes, and you can definitely understand that. And she was like, I would love to think that they had faked their death. At the same time, Sidra, from when I had email exchanges with her, she was also not convinced of any pack theory. She did not believe that Kamel was involved. I do wonder if that's why or maybe partially why the Alam family did not want to be part of this film after first agreeing to be part of this film. What did they see? How did they look at this movie and say, we don't want to be a part of that? Now, I would say that, I don't believe, as far as I know, I don't believe that people are attacking the family or going after the family. But if there are people that are doing that or accusing the family, or going after them or anything like that, of course that's wrong, and of course we should stand up to that, and we should definitely try to do our best to make people not do that. They should not be going after this family. They should not be um, trying to bother this family that doesn't want to be bothered. That's one of the main reasons why I hadn't contacted a lot of people in the beginning. That was the reason why I did not contact Sean Wright. And unfortunately, he chose to contact me, which was fine. But to me, that opened up a dialogue that I felt like then I was free to ask any questions that I want. Mason Hendricks, same thing. Danny Mason, same thing. Sidra, same thing. When they contacted me, I don't know why they contacted me, but when they did, I felt like this was my chance to really ask them questions. One of the only people that I really reached out to contact was Detective Gummer, because I was not interested so much in what the family thought and what the family had to say. I wanted to hear what the police said. I wanted to hear why they thought David Crowley was guilty. And it was wall. We talk about David's wall. It was wall after wall after wall after wall. Nobody was talking about it, but they all claimed that they had the answers. They all claimed that they knew what happened, but they couldn't share it with us. Come on. Of course you can. Of course you can. If you really care, if you really care about truth, you would share it with people. You would put all the speculation to rest, and you would allow everybody, including myself and everyone else, to move on, because now we have the truth. The problem is, I don't believe they have the truth. I don't believe any of them know what really happened. So for them to try to speculate and try to pressure other people into believing what they want to believe, I think that's totally wrong. Totally wrong. Let me go back. I need to go back a little bit here. This makes him look like the movie was autobiographical. Yeah, the movie was not autobiographical. We have to remember all of David's footage, all of that stuff was, all of that ended. Now, this written journal, it sounds like from what Dan Crowley Sr. says, this written journal ended on December 25th. At the same time, he also says, and then David killed his family. It's like, okay, man, okay, that's your son. That is your son. So to just say he killed his family, and we just drop it, like, we just leave it at that. Really? Come on. Come on. There's got to be more to it. Why would you not want to share the evidence that shows David Crowley is guilty? The only reason I can think of is because certain people do want to move forward with the Gray State Project, which in of itself does not make sense when you talk about moving forward with the project of a guy that killed his wife, killed his daughter, and then killed himself. Anyone who really thought that this movie was going to move forward after that, I don't know. There's something very, very strange about that. Let's see. I think they are just not from the. Oh, sorry. I'm reading. There's some conversations going on in the comments. There is a theory out there that he faked his death, and his brother is really him. Yeah. There's many theories. There's the government theory. There's the clone theory. There's a time travel theory. There was actually somebody in those early days who was part of the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group that was talking about a time travel theory and a numerology theory. And we let that theory, or Dan let that theory play out there, and rightfully so, because then people could say, okay, well, you think there's some time travel here involved, you think they're this or that, well, okay, then prove it. And it's the same thing we put to the cops who also claim that David Crowley was guilty. Well, if you think that, you should be able to prove that. If you can't prove it, then this case should not be closed. This case should be open. It should be a cold case. It should just be, you know what, we don't know what happened here. Okay, we walked in, there's Allahu Akbar here. Most of their hands were missing. But there's no signed written note. There was an open door, and we don't know what happened. That's what they should have said. Okay? By not saying that, they've fueled, and hopefully not purposely, but by not saying that, they fueled a lot of these different theories that were then put out there so that people could purposely discredit them. That's what I think. I think a lot of these theories might have actually started from the same people who would later come out as the heroes and as the defenders of the family and say, nope, there's no government hit, there's nothing this, because that's what Eric Nelson's team, I think that's what they were looking for from Dan and myself. They wanted us to say that this was a government hit. They thought, I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe they did not do their research on us. I think they watched one or two videos. I know that the guy that interviewed me did not read the police reports and did not look at the 464 crime scene photos. So he knew nothing when he was questioning me. Nothing. He knew whatever he was told and whatever stuff he wanted to believe, but he did not know a lot about this case. All right, now I'm rambling. Let's see. I spent many hours. Just. Sorry, I'm gonna get back a little step. Come on. Just for the record, this is from Cecil. Just for the record, most of us in the Liberty Movement signed a pact saying that we would not off ourselves. Don't leave it alone. If anything ever happens to me, please. I believe that is a very powerful thing. And if anyone out there has any proof that David Crowley ever said that, not the Hagman and Hagman thing, because we've seen that, but that's somebody else saying what David said, that David wasn't prone to suicide. But if there's any footage, if there's anywhere that David Crowley says that I will not kill myself, that needs to come out. That needs to be put out into the public. Now we're talking about all of this footage that we have, or that the family has, and that Eric Nelson has, of David Crowley recording his life. And you're telling me not in one of those times did he ever say that I would not kill myself? I mean, it takes 5 seconds. It takes 10 seconds. It's a very, very simple thing. So I do believe that everybody should do that. Everybody should put that video out there, because you just never know. Because there are people that have been suicided. And if you don't believe that, that's a paranoia too. It's a fear tactic that you're blocking that out because you don't want to believe that that's possible. It's the same thing people have done about John F. Kennedy. They don't want to believe that he was killed as a result of a assassination, because then they would have to deal with it. They don't want to believe that that the government at some level, some people within our government had to have helped cover up September 11th, that some people had foreknowledge, that some people might have actually been involved in bringing those towers down and in everything that happened in September 11th. This is not paranoia. I think it's a paranoid, it's a delusional thing to not even look at that. And there's nothing wrong with looking at it and saying that you don't believe it because A, B, C, D. Or just say, you know what, I just don't want to go there. And I've had many people that just say to me, I just don't even want to go there, which is fine. But at least they're not saying, you know what, that didn't happen. So when we come and say, you know what happened with David? Is it possible that he was killed? No, that didn't happen. That's what we get many, many times over. And the sad fact is that nobody really knows what happened. So for anybody to sit there and say that they know what happened is not right, because we don't know what happened. And that includes the fact that we don't know David Crowley is guilty based on the evidence we've seen. Now, you have these people who have secret knowledge, and the chosen ones and the fortunate ones who think that they were given some type of knowledge that helps prove David Crowley is guilty, but they can't share it with us. They don't, it's almost like they have the proof, but they don't want to put it out there. Well, that's even worse, because then you're holding on to some proof that might actually help bring truth to this case. Now you're hiding truth. And to me, that's worse than somebody who just doesn't want to look at it, doesn't want to believe it. To me, that's totally worse. All right. I need to backtrack. Let's see. To me, this is Mason's film. Liz says, to me, this is Mason's film. I think that he's a very suspicious character in all of this. She says that with the question mark. And there would be a lot of people who would jump on that and say, oh, well, she's saying this, or she believes this or that. It's like, we are just talking. We're at the point now where we are just talking. We're sharing ideas. We're sharing our views. And that should include the people that believe David Crowley is guilty. It really should. What I find is a lot of them are very defensive and don't even want to hear some of these other views, or they tack certain views on it. They latch on to those views because they know that they can try to disprove those views, instead of saying, okay, like what we're saying here is, where is the evidence? Where is the proof? So looks like Humpty Dumpty was trying to say the same thing. Let's see, father and brother looked very fine. I'm not sure what that means, but maybe you can elaborate on that. Maybe Greg can put up that thumbnail with his fake mugshot. Yikes. Is that the Danny Mason mugshot? I think that was for a movie. So, that was something that I posted in the group, and maybe I shouldn't have posted that without the proper context, because, I mean, come on, Danny Mason is an actor. That was part of a film, and it doesn't necessarily relate to anything that we're seeing here. Some people might post photos of us and say, oh, and try to make that connection. It's kind of what this movie kind of felt like. It was just like they were reaching for conclusions that just were not there, that nobody was really buying, unless they had already had their mind set up and were like, don't want to see anything else. He's guilty. That's it. We'll never know what happened. No one will ever know. We're just moving on. But let's keep talking about government conspiracies. Let's keep talking about all these other things. But I'm not going to talk about that one. Got it. Huge. I think this is a huge cover-up. They want us to believe. That I said. Okay. They want us to believe. Eric, Spitfire Sentinels in there too. Right on. I have long suspected they used mind control on them. They were hearing voices and such. Yeah, Eric, I mean, I'm really open to that possibility. What Kamel said about the voice and them feeling some type of a presence. Sidra had, said a long time ago, before she stopped, chatting with me, before she made it clear that she didn't want anything to do with this, she had mentioned something like that. She had mentioned seeing some type of a presence herself. So, I mean, we have to. I'm totally open to that, and I think there might be more of that in these videos, and I think certain people might have seen some of that satanic worship, or some of that demon talk. I think they probably could have made a whole movie just off of that. So, anyways, let's see. They portray it as autobiography. Yeah, it's not an autobiography. Yeah, I don't think it is either. I think you're right on that. Let's see. If a man is going to take out his family, the dog would be put down. Yeah, and that's what happened with Philip Marshall. For whatever reason, he allegedly, if Philip Marshall was guilty, he killed his two kids and he shot the dog, which was not his dog. It did the dog that Philip Marshall shot did not live at that house. So, thought that was strange. A very small dog in that case. This dog is obviously a lot bigger. Considering all these people around David were wide awake, I found it very suspicious nobody even brought up this possibility. Eric, I think you're dead on right there. It is the hypocrisy, I believe, of them saying, "Well, yeah, you know, he's guilty." They should at least understand where we're coming from. They should at least understand that we should have more proof, and that if they really cared about this case, if they really cared about getting the truth out there, then they would share those things. They would, um, per, they would give us more facts. But instead, if you really go back and look at what the Gray State team and friends of David Crowley said during those first days after the bodies were found, if you go back and look at it, it was just like there was no doubt. They were all like, boom, he's guilty. Just that's it. And it's like they hadn't done anything yet. What did the police know? They didn't even know. The family, the friends didn't know about a lot of the stuff that they would find out later. It's like they weren't even looking at it. They weren't even open to it. So I do find that strange. Sherry Dodge says, I seriously think they were murdered by more than one person. I think a lot of people think that. And I think a lot of people think that there's some foul play involved here. But again, it goes back to the evidence, to what proof is there of foul play being involved here? What proof is there of a cover-up? And I think everybody can answer that for themselves. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that really makes you wonder if the Crowleys were killed. And it makes you wonder if there was some type of foul play involved. Now, from my view, any type of foul play would have to, at some level, would have to involve at least the silence of the Apple Valley Police. So when you have the police captain who will do an interview with Tom Lydon but won't do an interview for Eric Nelson's movie, you have to ask yourself why. Were they instructed to keep their mouths shut? And that's what it really seems like here. I think Tom Lydon scooped Eric Nelson, and even Eric Nelson will say that. If you've listened to Eric Nelson's his videos about making this movie, and it seems like him and Lydon had some type of a deal. They were all working together, and Lydon puts this report out that is very, very groundbreaking. It's the first time that I ever heard about the blood writing was from Tom Lydon because of what Tom Lydon got. He said he got 15,000 pages of files, and we got 93 pages. Wow. Now, Detective Gummert said that if you've read, he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he basically said that if we've read the 93 pages of those police reports, from my view, what he's saying is that we should understand why David Crowley is guilty. And of course, if you've read those 94 pages, if you looked at the 464 photos, you can definitely see it. It really doesn't prove anything. It actually raises a lot more questions about what police missed. And maybe that's why the Apple Valley Police didn't want to be a part of this documentary, because they missed so many things. All right, let's see. Just Gal says, what about Kamel? Could she have done it? She was resentful. She was the Muslim. Hands were missing. She looked anorexic. At the end, well, the problem with the theory if Kamel did it is that she was shot twice, so she was double tapped. It's hard to believe it's somebody is going to double tap themselves unless they're Gary Webb or something like that. It's hard to believe they're going to double tap themselves. But it's valid questions, and I think what we have is there are a lot of people out there, a lot of cyber bullies who, if you even raise those questions, if you even go there, they come after you. There's something wrong with you. It's just a person asking a question. So they need to just chill out and just. It's okay to ask the questions, and then it's okay to give a respectful answer, even if you disagree with it. That's okay. We need to. A lot of people need to be more open-minded about it. She was anorexic and she was having these paranoid delusions. So why not her? Yeah, and it's just because she was shot twice in the back of the head. It's hard to believe that. Now, there was, I do believe that they said that the daughter's blood and flesh were not found on the mom, leading people like Mason Hendricks to think that they were shot at two separate times, which raises even more questions. Makes the story even stranger and sadder. Because if the daughter witnessed the mom dying, or if the mom witnessed the daughter dying, that is really sad. That in and of itself does not prove that it was David Crowley that did it. So again, we're back to the same point A. They want to get us to point C. The guy Corey Zorowski, I believe, and what's the other guy's name? Alec Wilkinson from the New Yorker. They kind of always threw it back at us like, well, what do you think happened? It's like, well, what do we think happened? Nobody's telling us anything. They won't give us any information to prove that David Crowley is guilty, but they'll just leave that door open to try to discredit us, to try to trip us up. And so it's just all games, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not truth. It's really not. Let's see. There is questions of being the Crowleys being targeted, TIs. I have heard that. Definitely something worth looking into. If they were TIs, targeted individuals, then it does raise a lot more questions. Let's see. So we had done it before he died. He prompted it. There was mention of infiltration. Yeah, you have seen some of that where David was distancing himself, and I'm surprised that they didn't use those quotes where David was distancing himself. They were very mild about that portion of it, and I do wonder why. Because hey, if he was distancing himself, what would that mean? They never mention mind control one time. Yeah, they're not going to mention mind control. Of course they're going to mention the theory that the government killed him, because everybody's going to roll their eyes and be like, oh, here we go again. The government killed him. Government killed all these people. Blah, blah, blah. So that's definitely one of their talking points that they like to use to convince people to not even look at this case. Okay, the people believe what the TV tell them. Michaela Heathfield. Yeah, and unfortunately, I wouldn't say all of the people believe what the TV tells them, but I do think that that some do. I think a lot of people are smarter. I think human beings don't get enough credit for how intelligent we really are, and how humble we can really be, and how open we can be to thinking one thing today and tomorrow being shown evidence and saying I was wrong. I was hoping this movie was going to do that for me. I was really hoping that's what was going to happen. I was hoping that Eric Nelson was going to be that person that was really going to help us understand why David Crowley was guilty. I think if that was his intention, I don't think it was. If it was his intention, then he definitely failed. So then if that wasn't his intention, then I have to ask myself, what was his intention? To just spread more disinformation, to just kind of muddy the waters? Or was it just to get people thinking? Was it to get people thinking about, maybe there's more here? The fact that Eric Nelson never challenged anybody on why they believe David Crowley was guilty is very upsetting, and it does raise red flags. It really does, because that's what he should have done. They tried to challenge us about why he wasn't guilty. It should be fair play to say, well, Okay, then let's look at the people that think he is guilty, and why do you think he's guilty? I didn't see that a lot. So let's go here. If they thought this was going to quiet people down, it actually just opened up Pandora's box. Just a Girl is definitely right. I really believe that is true. It just opened up more people's box. Humpty Dumpty retracted a couple messages. I'm sorry about that. I hope it wasn't anything personal. So, Humpty Dumpty, consider if you meant to say something that didn't come out right, come on and say it. We're all just chatting here. Okay, yeah, we'll just focus on questions. Okay, you're right. Let's see. Trump the Kosher Pumpkin. RFB was going to do a live stream today on the Netflix Gray State propaganda documentary, and the power was cut out in the area. He lives in Boston. Yeah, I saw that. I was really gonna listen. I was gonna sneak away for a couple minutes so I could listen to what they were gonna say. Trump, do you know if they're going to do that? If they're gonna do that in the future? I would love to. I'd love to know if they're going to go ahead and talk about that in the future. I'd love to have do something like this, a live stream, maybe like a conference call, like we've done with other people. Do a conference call with RFB, Robert from Boston, I believe it is. You know, Robert from Boston has put out a couple new videos, and I think the title was a bit misleading, blaming Netflix. I don't think it's fair to blame Netflix. I mean, we've seen this stuff on Netflix, right? That would fit right in with a lot of their fictional stuff. So maybe Netflix should have put it under their fiction section. I could see that. But besides that, yeah, you can't. I don't blame Netflix, and maybe he doesn't either. Maybe that was just his title, his catchy title of it. Let's see. Yeah, voice to text is not the best, but thanks for trying. I really appreciate you commenting on that. Corey Carlson, this movie made me think there really is something strange going on. It was a complete hit piece. A lot of people have said that it's a hit piece. I hear that a lot. And if people could elaborate a little bit more on why they think it is a hit piece, I would love to hear those comments and try to challenge some of them. It's hard. It's really hard for me to really try to give Eric Nelson and try to give these people the benefit of the doubt when they've been so secretive and they played so many stupid games that didn't need to be played, done so many stupid things that didn't need to be played. For anybody that doesn't know, when Eric Nelson's team was inside Dan Hennon's house, somebody pooped in the upper portion of Dan Hennon's toilet, so that when Dan Hennon flushed his toilet, you would see, how water runs out when you flush a toilet, poop would run out. That is disgusting. It's called an upper decker, I think it is. I mean, this is just childish behavior. We have Judy Prochnow saying that Chris Peck, who was the lighting guy or the sound guy inside of Dan Hennon's house, while they were interviewing Dan Hennon, Chris Peck is in this house and doesn't introduce himself, doesn't try to have a good conversation with Dan Hennon and question him about some of the things that maybe he disagrees with Dan Hennon on. But from what Judy Prochnow said, that Chris Peck wanted to reach out and choke Dan Hennon, wanted to cause physical harm to Dan Hennon's house. These are the type of games that these people play, and that's why they fail, because they're not about truth, they're not honest, they're not open. It's all games, and that is the opposite of what the Gray State fans wanted to see from the Gray State team. That's why they are the Gray Shame. They are ashamed. They're shameful because of their actions, and the actions speak louder. And they can call us shameful because we're sitting here asking questions and because we don't agree with the official story, But I would say that anyone who is not searching for truth and anyone who is not able to provide truth and is just spitting out speculation is very shameful. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Rebecca Silva, the suicide note I found that it states Open the Rise, most latest version. The father said that he found the digital recording in a file of Gray State at the end. Interesting. A digital recording of David saying something about Open the Rise? You'll have to elaborate a little bit on that, Rebecca. Could David have been giving hints? Okay, Trump says the occult are Crowley worshippers, just like Anton Yelts, the actor crushed by his own car. These MFers don't care. Speaking of the cult stuff, I'm still trying to understand why inside David Crowley's house there was a Bohemian Grove statue. It's still one of the most oddest things. And I asked Mason Hendricks why that was there, and he basically broke it down to say that it's because he dabbled in the cult, which to me would make sense of why there was an evil presence, some demon or something like that in there. So, but again, it's just speculation. So I don't pass it off as fact. I can't say, oh, there were definitely demons in there. Now, it's hard. That's going to be almost impossible to prove. If there was some demon that was involved in these murders, that's going to be one of the things almost impossible to prove. And unfortunately, that would be one of the reasons why the police would cover it up, because they don't want to go there. Because then you're talking about real life stuff, and they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about demon possession, anything like that. I mean, who is talking about that? I mean, a lot of churches don't talk about that. Thankfully, my church does. I think they should, because that stuff is real. Why are there so many Catholics talking about it? What are they doing to attract these things, or to that's a whole nother issue there. Okay, let's focus on the questions, like Humpty Dumpty said. He's right. He's working on exposing the cover-up. It is a hit piece, Cecil says. No one ever shows his good side. Okay. It's the upper decker in your home. Yeah, the upper Dan Hennon is saying the upper decker in his home. Now you have to remember, Dan Hennon, for whatever reason, did not tell me this. I wish he would have told me this sooner, because when he told me this, I was really pissed off. And I did contact the guy who was in my house and interviewed me, and I asked him about this. Well, I didn't know about the upper decker thing. I asked him about Chris Peck, why they would allow Chris Peck to be inside Dan Hennon's house and not tell him. And if you think that, you know, it's some great thing that, oh, Chris Peck was there and you guys are supposed to be great investigators and you couldn't even do that. We weren't trying to investigate that. We weren't trying to look into those things. We were trying to be open and honest, and I think we did a damn good job. I think we did a really good job at that. We let you into our houses. You did what you did, and you cut out most of our stuff, which is fine. I know a lot of other people got cut out too. That's fine, because it should not be about us. The story was not about us. So I was a little, I did find it a little strange that it kind of started out with all of these, with our, you know, bringing this up, and then it just kind of died there, and they left out so much stuff. So for anyone that doesn't know, what you saw between me and Dan Hennon, that was a live broadcast. I believe it was about 2 hours. So if you haven't seen that, it's on Dan Hennon's YouTube page, on his YouTube channel. I would hope that everybody would go and watch that and see it in the proper context. Unfortunately, you can't see our separate interviews in the proper context, but Eric Nelson does have it. He does own it. We didn't get paid for it. So if anyone did get paid for it, I would love to know who got paid for it. Who's making money off of this movie? I'd be very curious to know that. I could throw out a couple. I could throw out a couple guesses, but I won't. Okay, Trump says should have never went on Alex Masad Jones' show. When I heard what happened, I knew that show was involved somehow. So sad. The truth will be exposed on this clear setup. I think Trump, this really helped me. This really helped me kind of distance myself from a lot of the people that I thought were in the liberty movement or were in the truth movement or whatever you want to call it. There's really no name. It's just a bunch of people. There's good people, there's bad people in it. There's people who really care about truth, and there's people who don't, and you will know them by their actions. So I think for me, that was some things that I was praying for because I wanted God to show me, was Alex Jones real? Because I had Alex Jones bumper stickers on my car. I was a huge Alex Jones fan, and this did really change my mind because he was not talking about that, because he was not sticking up for David Crowley or for just, and really when I watched the documentary, it really made me see Alex Jones didn't know that much about David Crowley either. And of course, he's covering all these other stuff too. But 2012 was a very interesting year. The infiltration, in my view, okay, based on nothing, the infiltration was very, very high. There was something really weird happening. You can look at the videos for the Bohemian Grove 2012. Just Google that, and you'll see some strange things that happened there too. And to me, what happened at Bohemian Grove 2012 was a precursor to a lot of this anti-Trump stuff that we see now. Regardless of your view on Trump and on all of that, it looks very similar. The Antifa stuff, the Black Lives Matter, all of that, the violence. When you hear these people that claim to be liberty lovers and freedom fighters, and they're talking about violence, and they're creating guillotines to chop off people's heads. I mean, this is just bizarre stuff, really strange, and totally counterproductive to what truth is. Instead of a revolution, I would be more in favor of a restoration because I know what a revolution is going to bring. Revolution is going to bring something much worse. It always does. It always does, in my view. Okay, so we have Dan Hinton is also saying that and remember, Dan Hinton is not accusing anybody of stealing anything but these are just facts. This is what happened. His wife's portable Blu-ray player went missing after he allowed these people into his house. Thankfully, I only allowed these people into my backyard. There were eyes on them the whole time. And I'm very grateful, very happy that was done. So I took all the precautions that were necessary, and I'm glad that I did. Let's see. Can links be linked here? I think so. Yeah, it won't let you. It might not let you in the live chat, but it should let you in the comment section. So maybe after this video is posted, it should let you post any links. If it's giving you some spam warning or something like that, then maybe I can check that out later. Or you can send me those links, and I'll try to add them into the description section later on. You can send them to gregfernandezii@gmail.com, and I'll try, as long as they're not really spam or anything. If they're relevant to what we're talking here, I'll post them in the description of this video. But once it's posted, I've seen other people post comments, post links as comments on my videos, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'm not sure why you can't do it now. You should be able to. I'll have to look into that. Okay, Trump is saying no. So was this to steal David's intellectual property, Liz? I mean, I find that, just my view, Liz, I find that hard to believe. Only because, like, it really, if they're going to say, I mean, if they were saying David was innocent and then they're going to make the Gray State movie, I would say, yeah, okay. But they're saying David's guilty and still trying to make the movie, some of them. But so I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the intellectual property. I really don't know how all of that works. I know it's a good question, and it's been brought up, and a lot of people who believe that David Crowley is guilty that's one of the things that really pushes their buttons. When you look at some of these simple questions that push their buttons, it's like, what are you talking about? You know, we're just asking questions here, very simple questions. All right, I'll try to go another 20 minutes or so. I've been really sick today, but I really wanted to make sure that I did this today because I don't know when I'll have time to do this again. So Liz is talking about the links that you can't post the links, but you can do the .com. Yeah, you can do that. But it, and I can search for it later. But probably easier to just post them after I post this live stream. So Michaela, I hope I'm saying your name right. It's really easy to open a door to demons. I watch a lot of docs about that. Yeah, I've seen a lot of docs about that, and I believe that the Bible is true. So I definitely also think that you can allow demons in there, and if you're not protected by God, those demons can do a lot of damage. But even then, through Him, you can overcome those things, but you can't overcome them by yourself, in my view. Okay, Corey saying, can you give us a breakdown of the players in this case? I'm under the impression that there are two sides, the official side and us, who think something more is going on. What am I missing? I think there's many, many different sides. I think there's probably more people who just don't know what happened and are still in that spot where they're just researching this to find out what the evidence is either way, or to hear different people's views. So I think it's really hard to give a breakdown of the players in this case because I don't know who the players are. I don't want to speculate necessarily on who these players are, if there are any players in this. I think in Eric Nelson's film, you see a lot of people who were involved with the Gray State Project, and a lot of those same people are the ones who were very forceful with going with the officials' theory. They wanted to control this case from the very start, which is very, very weird to me why they would want to control it, because you cannot control truth. You can try to control lies, you can try to control that, but I don't believe that really works. So sorry, Corey, sorry I couldn't answer that question, but I just think that there are way more sides to this, and even between the people who believe the official theory, there's so many different sides and so many different things, but they all come to the same conclusion, that David Crowley is guilty. So you can look at Mitch Heil, who will say David Crowley was not on PTSD, but still believes David Crowley is guilty. You can look at Mason Hendricks, who believes that there was not a pack theory, but still believes David Crowley is guilty. Sean Wright, who believes there was a pack theory, and believes David Crowley is guilty. So even amongst them, amongst the internal fighting that they're all having with their YouTube channels and making money and stuff like that, they all have different views on it, but they all come to the same conclusion, that David Crowley is guilty. They just have different reasons. Okay, the video footage part in the movie showing the little girl was very disturbing in the dark. Yeah, I felt bad for the child. Yeah, I felt bad for the child too. So let's see. I'm in San Francisco. So sometimes they tend to be domineering, and their family respect them and look up to them and do not question anything they say. Okay. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, and you have I think Adam, I forget what his last name is. I want to say Rumbauer, but it's Sam Bauer or something like that. But he was saying, he called them Crowleyites, as if David Crowley was their leader. Well, that's not a good way to treat your leader, someone who was a leader. Maybe there were people looking for a leader. I don't necessarily know that David Crowley was looking to be their leader, which might be delusional if they thought that David Crowley was their leader and he's not trying to be their leader. They might have had their own mental issues too. in that case. So controlled oppositions on both sides for sure. Yeah, I mean you can't discount that there's a lot of people out there who do what looks like counterintelligence, and they're just putting out false stories, putting out false theories, and then probably running back to the family and say, look at all these crazy people, they're coming up with all these theories. We're going to help you, we're going to stand by you, we're going to stand up for you, we're going to show these people that they're wrong and the government didn't do this and all this stuff. They're playing the victim and playing the hero at the same time, when in reality they're probably neither. Hegelian dialectic, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Let's see. That can be a very dangerous situation, especially when they isolate themselves. So this couple with codependence with Kamel, CLD, have led to a dark place. Yeah, yeah, isolating yourself, and it's clear David did this. He did this. This was the first time that I heard that he told his friends that if he does go back, maybe not the first time, maybe one of the first times that I heard that David said that if he does go to that dark place, he wants his friends to reel him back in. It sounds like Adam did that. So he reeled him back in, but yet then David still goes and commits these murders. Okay. If you say so. Trump the kosher pumpkin says the production quality was amazing. Yeah, you have to give them that. I mean, they spent a lot of money on it. It damn well better be. If you've seen the trailer, oh, you're talking about the trailer footage. Yeah, the trailer footage. Yeah, the quality production of the trailer footage would probably be the only thing that I actually liked. They would have done with the movement and why they silenced him. The thing about Gray State is I don't believe, and I know Alex Jones told David Crowley this. He didn't need a $30 million budget or anything like that. Now, obviously, he did need money. He did need funding for it. So, I'm not a big fan of the GoFundMe, the Go Fund Yourself, what I call it, Go Fund Yourself and all that stuff. But some people do it, and if it works for them, then great. For me, money, you got to have your own money, your own funds coming in. You got to have a job, you got to have your own thing, or else you get put in a situation where you can be compromised, and you don't want to ever be in that spot where you have to do something to make money, something that you don't really want to do. I'd rather have very little money and be happy and enjoy life than have a lot of money and not be able to enjoy anything because it's not really what I want. It's not really what I want to do. So that's just my view on it. Let's see. What about the clip? Rebecca is asking, what about the clip of the little girl in the basement? I found that disturbing. She looked scared and even startled. The clip of the girl in the basement really made me think that there was something, some type of presence there talking with her. It's hard to believe that it was just this girl, unless Kamel was down there or the dog was down there or something. It did that footage, and I've been told about that footage. So there was a lot of stuff that I've been told about that I was expecting to see, and that was one of the more stranger things. Was I felt like she was talking to somebody, like there was something else down there, something else with her, and of course that's just a complete guess. The stuff where they're talking about death and a baby dying and all that stuff, I just think that was just bad taste. I think David and Kamel, I don't know why they would talk with their daughter about stuff like that. But again, we don't see the proper context of it, so it's hard to judge that. All right, almost done here. Let's kind of wrap this up. I really appreciate everybody coming out. We'll have to do this a second time, not with this movie or anything, but I would love to do a free conference call thing where we can all chat, we can all talk, and just talk about this, and do it in a respectful way, not where we're yelling at each other, cussing each other, trying to convince each other that we're right. I do think a lot of good questions, a lot of good points have been brought up, and that's why I do like talking with people about this. A lot of people have brought things to me that I did not see in the photos. If you haven't seen the crime scene photos, please do, because you might see something in there that I totally missed, and that's fine. I'm just looking for whatever the truth is. Black Cube operation from a former Secret Service. Yeah, I would look at one thing I would like to know is if David was around anybody who was involved in the intelligence circles, the military intelligence or counterintelligence or any type of intelligent service. Was he doesn't what was his views on secret societies? On his list of things that he was investigating, you'll notice the Freemasons were not there. They were not on that list unless I missed it. So it's also what he was researching and what he wasn't. Things he had crossed out and things that he hadn't had crossed out. I'm not sure if Sandy Hook was crossed out, but I know World Trade Center 7 was. So he had definitely looked at World Trade Center 7. I don't hear a lot about David's view on 911, and with him being a soldier, I was hoping to hear more on that view. He just talks about the war that happened after, not too much on how 9/11 put us into the war in Afghanistan and in Iraq. So I was hoping he would talk more about that. Let's see. The Weinstein case is another weird one. We're seeing all these weird things, people coming out. It is not abnormal for children to have imaginary friends. Normal children who grow up to be normal adults. Yeah, sure. I can agree with that. I can agree that, it's not abnormal for children to have imaginary friends. I'm not a parent, so I don't know what that's like. I don't really know anybody who has had an imaginary friend, so I can't relate to that. To me, it just seems strange, but maybe that's because I've never had any experience with it. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody coming here. Road Warrior Radio, thank you for joining us. Chris Hinckley, maybe we can work out a show, work out a podcast, or some way that we can just kind of go over some of the things that the documentary should have covered that I was hoping that it would have covered. So you can message me. You can find me on Facebook, generally at the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. There is a Justice for David Crowley of Gray State Facebook page. So we're not hard to find. My debate, I will debate anybody who thinks that David Crowley is guilty. I put that out there. 3 people have accepted my challenge. Only 1 actually showed up. So I do declare myself 3-0 right now. But I'm going to set a date to debate Danny Mason, and we'll see if he actually shows up. I'm going to give him time because he was nice, because he was respectful towards me. I'm going to give him plenty of time to join or to reschedule. I did not give Sean Wright that chance because of some of the games that he played and because a lot of things that he said, very stupid things to say on record, So that's why I'm pretty much done with that, done with Sean Wright. I felt like with Judy Prochnow, I felt like it started out as a debate and ended up as a very nice talk. We agreed to disagree. We didn't yell at each other. We didn't cuss at each other. We disagreed from the very start. I felt Judy was overall a nice person, a sincere person. I just felt that her information was secondhand and thirdhand information. That the only firsthand information that she had, the only credible information she had, was what she saw on that day. That's it. And there's no way that she could look through that window. I don't believe that there's any way you could look through that window and think that David Crowley did this when you just see 3 bodies on the ground. But go back and listen to the 911 call that Judy Prochnow made. You can find that on Dan Hennon's website, the uglytruth.com. He's got a whole section on that has the actual documents of Judy Prochnow's 911 call and Colin Prochnow's 911 call. Everybody should read that because right away she's also saying that it looks like a double murder suicide, something like that. I'll have to go back and check that just to make sure that that's accurate. But if you have time, go ahead and look at that. Look at all of the documents out there. And once you've done that, then come to your own conclusion or don't. And I've chosen to not come to a conclusion at this point. I'm still open to all possibilities. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you. And we'll do this again. Reach out to me. You know where to find me. I'm generally on that Facebook. So shutting this down. You can get the police report. It's in my article, The Gray Stage #2, which is, I think it's titled Crime Scene Photos. If you look on my YouTube channel, there on most of my Gray Stage videos, there is a link, and it has the link to all of the 9 articles that I've done so far. There are more to come. We have a direct Dropbox link to the crime scene photos and to the police report, so you can reach out to me for that. You can also find that on Dan Hennon's website too. There's a whole section that just has all of those documents that the police, that he was able to get from the cops. So please go check all that out. We'll talk again. God bless you all. Let's see. Let me just answer this one last question from Road Warrior Radio, since I think he just joined us. Do you have a select set of sources you direct folks to at this point? After nearly 3 years of research you've done, I'd be glad to point folks to it tomorrow's broadcast. I would say go to my website, gregfernandezjr.com. One of the tabs is a Gray State tab. And if you click on it, it has all of the articles. There's one, I think is great, the Gray Stage #7 or #8, and it just has the research documents. Or you can also find them on Dan Hennon's website, the Ugly Truth, not the Ugly Truth. Just put in uglytruth.info. Sorry, uglytruth.info. And you can access all of those documents. I think that's where people should start. Start with the actual documents. Start with the police report. Start with the crime scene photos. Start there. Don't start with me. Don't start with what everybody else thinks, what anybody else thinks. Start with those, and then come back and tell me if you see the evidence that David Crowley is guilty. Thank you, guys. Dan Hennon, Dan Hennon. So it's uglytruth.info. Hope that helps. Thanks, everybody. I gotta shut this down. See you later.